Because you've got powerful legs. How'd you get the physique? Was it gym or how'd you get the physique?
I've always been.
She's actually not got powerful legs. Do you shower in your dressing room? Do you have a shower on the day of a fight or not? Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
I'm sure no one will mind.
Move him out of here, there.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing nutters messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump. You know what I'm saying? On the podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the 550th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse. With me today, Steve Wellings, Andy Patterson, and Donnie Baseball. What a heck of a night it was last night, and you can hear all about it on Spotify, iTunes, part of the Sports Social Network. Catch us live on YouTube every Sunday. Here we are. Which would be 3 o'clock Eastern and 7 o'clock UK or 8 something.
8 o'clock UK, 10 o'clock Addis Ababa.
There you go, and at certain degrees Celsius and some Fahrenheit, it differs where you might be. But I'll tell you what, everyone caught a little bit off guard last night by the fact that DEMETRIUS ANDRADE was just never able to really keep David Benavidez off him after the first 3 rounds, probably just coming to a corner pulling the plug between rounds 6 and 7. And Benavidez just showing what a beast that he is. Donnie, you and I were talking prior to the fight, and you had seen Andrade from all the way back in his amateur days. Yes, you are that old. And you thought that he had a good chance, but unfortunately, those 35 years just didn't give him the legs to be able to do what he needed to do against the younger, stronger Benavidez.
Well, I'll give him credit for this. I mean, he fought back gamely. That was a guy in the ring who wanted to win. He was a guy who, had been really, kind of, stopped at every juncture of his career. He made a lot of terrible management, business decisions. As Floyd would say, he didn't make smart investments. Let's put it that way. He signed with Jay-Z.
Neither did Eddie Hearn.
His whole career has been an exercise in how do you not manage a fighter? And if you were writing a textbook, you would write the textbook for DEMETRIUS ANDRADE. A wonderful Olympic prospect. Great fighter, but just it just never seemed to come together for him. And he fought like a man who wanted to finally see things come together for him. He really wanted it, but Benavidez is just younger. He was stronger, and most of all, he was bigger, and he just bullied him around the ring. I don't know about the punch stats. I didn't actually look him up, but I would bet you that the punch stats were pretty close to equal. But it was just Benavidez's shots were just so much more damaging, and they just hurt him so much. And it was telling just by his reactions, by the way that he walked back to the corner after he got hurt and everything. It was clear like who the superior man in the ring was, and so all credit to Benavidez. I mean, I don't think he's a particularly skilled fighter, but at that weight, he's so dominant because he's still young, he can still make that weight. And when you put him in there against a fighter who's 35 years old, the results speak for themselves. But
how old is Canelo, Donnie?
Well, he's about 35 as well, but I feel like he has a little less miles on the clock. Let's put it that way. But look, do I want to see the Benavidez Canelo fight? Absolutely, but I think Canelo wins that fight every day of the week.
You might be right. As to your position that you thought that the punch stats were pretty even, you're incorrect. It started out pretty interesting. Through the first 3 rounds, Andrade had landed 24 out of 75 punches, compared to Benavidez only landing, looks like 11 out of like 83, I believe that would be. And then after that, Benavidez just lit him up. 17 punches in round 4, 38 of 71 in round 5, 36 of 71 in round 6. So the finals, Benavidez 117 of 336, Andrade 68 of 259. As far as CompuBox, take that with a grain of salt. Steve, you on the Benavidez hype train with this one? You think he can take out Canelo, or do you think that Andrade, smaller, coming up in weight, older, just the perfect opponent at the perfect time for somebody like David Benavidez?
Yeah, I don't think you can watch a fight like this and say, oh, yeah, he's definitely going to batter Canelo. But because obviously styles make fights, Canelo's a different animal to Andrade. He's proven it time and time again, whereas this was Andrade's step-up fight after all these years. But each time we watch him, he's improving. He shows a little bit each time. He's got the freshness of youth as well. I look at it and I think, you know what, he's going to give Canelo a hard time, especially with body shots as well. And if he gets to round 7 and 8 without taking too much punishment and too many body shots in return, there's a good chance that he's going to give Canelo a lot of problems, because Canelo likes to fight at his own pace now. We've seen that for a while. Bivol threw him out of that comfort zone. He made him work consistently, and he didn't like it. Golovkin did to a certain extent in the first fight, but we all know what happened there. And I think Benavidez will do that as well. As for last night, I think it was actually a very enjoyable contest. Good card all round. Really good showtime, going out with a bang on their pay-per-views, at least. We've got Morel coming up. He's another animal as well. Another beast who I'd like to see in against the top guys if he gets past this Agbeko. Andrade, as Donnie said, he was daring to be great, but actually trying to go out on his shield and win the fight. But Benavidez was just so explosive. It's his explosivity, which I think is an underrated facet. People talk about his size and his robotic nature and ability to walk people down, which he did against Plant, and he was a little bit one-dimensional at times. But he has that explosivity in his hand and his footwork, which allows him to just close the range so quickly, and it's hard to prepare for because you're out of range, and all of a sudden this big, massive beast is suddenly on top of you, hitting you with shots. And that led to a really entertaining scrap. Watching Andrade getting deconstructed was surprisingly satisfying, even though I don't really have too much against him. But everything happened as I expected it to last week. And we were talking on the Nuthouse chat on Friday night with Danny Young as well. But within a microcosm of my perceived timeline, what I mean is, me and you were discussing this, Matty. I thought what happened would happen, but Andrade would be more competitive and maybe fiddle him around for 6 or 7 rounds. Then he would maybe start to fade, and ultimately he would lose on the cards or maybe get stopped later on. That's what I thought would happen.
Yep,
but Benavidez just put everything on 2-speed and just says, no, we're not going to do that. I'll just get you out of here in round 6. Stylistically, Andrade, he was dangling his right hand quite low, I thought, to block the lefts to the body. But Benavidez's right hook to the body, something we don't see too often, was working really well as a nice replacement. Andrade was susceptible to the overhand right. Of course, that dropped him in round 4. Nice little meme shot. Almost Stevens against Golovkin-esque, of seeing Andrade's eyes rolling into orbit, looking for someone up in the bleachers there. Such was the ferocity he was hit. And after that point, I think that the writing was on the wall for him. In the first couple of rounds, Andrade landed a few good shots, especially to the body, but he was holding on for dear life. as soon as Benavidez got into a routine of pushing him off, forcibly breaking those clinches, saying, no, we're not going to clinch. I'm going to take matters into my own hand, Thomas Taylor, thank you very much. Hitting him off the brakes, pushing him away. It was over for Andrade because he couldn't compete at a high pace. So if he wasn't able to grab, take breaks, hold on to Benavidez, as soon as that was taken away from him, I thought, you know what? He's going to struggle to last the distance here. I'll end on a quick question for you, actually, Matty, if you don't mind. Chris Butler mentioned an opening comment that got me thinking. Poor old Andrade. He will have been paid handsomely for last night's action, but this was the first big fight he's had in 15 years. He lost most of the 6 rounds, got battered, got stopped. Nice pay packet, but regarding achievements and accomplishments, not just payments, has this been a bit of a waste of a career? The Billy Joe Saunders fight, I think, in 2018, the fact that dissolved was a bit of a watershed moment for Andrade. He'd have either got a big win against Saunders and moved on up to fight the other guys, or he'd have lost his O at that point. And I think that was a real moment there that changed the trajectory of his career. Do you think it's been a bit of a waste?
100%. I go back to Donnie. He said that is basically, textbook as far as how not to manage a career. And, some of that has to fall on the fighter. I don't think it's entirely management, but, he was a fairly old fighter by the time he got to this moment, and he had never faced a real puncher, never faced real adversity, and it all just kind of came swarming in on him in one night in David Benavidez, who's you don't dip your toe in with a guy like David Benavidez. And I think that's probably going to be it for Andrade. You might see him pop up to take on a couple of prospects or something like that. Maybe he moves down to 160 again. Who knows? But it's a shame because he was clearly a talented guy, but he just didn't have the kind of killer instinct and the power or the charisma necessarily to draw in the big crowds, and it kind of just held him back.
Yeah, I think just a couple of things quickly I'll mention about that. He said afterwards, we're going to come back stronger, go to the gym and regroup and all. But who's he kidding at the end of the day? He shouldn't be at super middleweight, and he's never been that kind of fighter throughout the peak of his career. So, like you say, he'll slip away, maybe fight a Demon Nicholson kind of guy in a 10-rounder and then never fight again. I'd say that would be more than likely. Although there probably is mileage left him if he wants to take it. Talking of never faced as well, I haven't checked the veracity of this up, but someone I think put up on Twitter earlier on, he'd never faced a champion, past, present, or currently future. So that's going to catch up on you when you fight guys like Benavidez, isn't it?
Absolutely. This is just a big, young, talented fighter who grew up in the gyms with a bigger brother who was who shouldn't say bigger brother, big brother, who was a very decorated amateur. So it was his night didn't go the same, but the Benavidez is more than just a big dude. And Andy, what I think is really great about Benavidez, once he gets that motor going and he kind of figures a few things out, he downloads the data, as some jerk offs so like to say. But so when Benavidez gets that going, he has this ability. He throws punches from all sorts of different angles and different arcs. Not only does Benavidez have those big looping big man shots, but he has a great straight. He has a good jab. He can throw him short hooks and uppercuts on the inside. At the end of the day, Andy, Benavidez is just an offensive masterpiece.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said there, actually, in terms of how he uses his shots. I mean, that was one thing I picked up on very early was the long shots he was using in the very first round, making it very difficult for Andrade to try even get any distance. And that's how he kind of really kept him there, really, for the first 2 or 3 rounds. I thought Andrade had a couple of good shoe shine moments, shall we say, in the second, possibly the third round. But you could gradually see Benavidez just gradually wear them down. Obviously, you've seen him with that right hand that dropped him. And was it 4th round, I think it was. Another thing is that he never ever goes away for hitting the body. Obviously, he takes it upstairs or hit you with uppercuts, but he never forgets the body. And when he really does tee up that left hook to the body and that as well, he puts everything behind it. You can literally hear it as well. Maybe go a wee bit Wellington here actually, but and going soft. But I actually felt a wee bit sorry for Andrade there last night. I felt he could have stopped that fight after the 4th round. The referee gave him every chance, every respect. His corner gave him another round. You can see the referee a bit concerned, calling the doctor in and that as well. But he wasn't going to do anything. He was backpedaling, as I say, after about the 5th and that as well. He was game. That's all I could say. But as Steve says as well, he should be up there. I really thought he might have caused a bit more problems, but really, he's fighting 2 fights really in there, isn't he? I mean, he's fighting really to kind of stay, just basically stay out of your harm's way. Then he's going to try and muster a kind of like an attack somehow, and then whatever attack he did put into place, it wasn't enough. It wasn't really putting a dent into Benavidez, who, by the way, does seem to be making the weight very, very fresh. He doesn't seem to be that kind of like that kind of like greyish way that people can look trying to make weight. Looks healthy, so that's the main thing. I know off the back of that, people are kind of like going with Benavidez to kind of beat Canelo. Totally different fight, I think, but again, we just need to wait and see how it goes at this point. Benavidez can only do what he can do. Fight was in front of him, win well, and then hopefully he gets the call. So hopefully we get to see it soon. This time next year, yeah, we'll go with that. But I think in the end, the right call was made. Benavidez, as I say, was beat them down, and Andrade was given every chance by his corner, by the referee, by the doctor. It wasn't enough, and it was only going ahead one way. It was really, if I had went another 1 or 2 rounds, you could start saying, "Look, listen, this is getting a bit ridiculous now. We need to start calling." It's getting borderline. But it was, I think, the right amount of punishment was taken after that point, and then the right call was made to call it because it was only going ahead one way, and it was a bad beating.
That it was.
I think as well, the good thing is at least he directly called out Canelo. Now he's always been very different towards Canelo, and he hasn't liked to trash talk him with him being the Mexican legend and all that. Can see why, but he said very clearly now, come on, let's give the people what they want to see, me against Canelo. So he's got very direct now and called out Canelo, which is good because this is the only fight that's left to be made now.
Yeah, there's only a couple of fights that I'd like to see. One Benavidez, the other being Crawford. One just because I'm sick, and I like to see people chase history. The other one because I legitimately think that Benavidez has the style to give Canelo absolute fits. Activity, lots of different punches coming from all sorts of directions, and I don't know that he'll let Canelo fight at his own pace. Other than Canelo,
Paulie thinks after seeing that last night, he thinks Canelo will actively try and avoid Benavidez.
Possibly. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, because it's a weird thing. Like, Canelo, how much more money will he make fighting Benavidez than fighting, I don't know, anybody else?
To be fair, Canelo's never really ducked anybody.
He hasn't ducked anybody, but he's definitely tried to shift all the advantages in his corner.
Yeah. In other words, he'll fight you, but like it's going to be on his terms. Like,
let's be honest, man. If you can go back for time immemorial in the sport, all the champions have done that. Every champion.
I mean,
they've all tried to kind of work it for themselves. You go back to the days. You go way back to the days, right?
Well, yeah. What's the point of being the A side if you don't use it, right?
Yeah, like when Leonard fought Duran in the rematch and fought him in that like 25-foot ring or whatever. I mean, it goes back all the way. I mean, always like the money guy, the house guy, like always has the advantage, and he always presses that advantage to his competitive advantage.
Yeah,
but Canelo's never ducked at anybody. Like I would be shocked if anybody who's saying he's going to duck him is crazy.
He waits people out though. He waited Golovkin out, didn't he?
A little bit, yeah.
He might wait out Benavidez now if he's tight at the weight.
Yeah, Leonard waited Hagler out. Floyd waited out Pacquiao. They all do it. They've all done it.
That's the weird thing. Like, it's hard to wait out a fighter who's younger than you. I don't know. That's kind of a.
Yeah, I know, but you cannot. If you got an eye for the sport, you're following their careers. You want to see how much punishment they've taken. I mean, look, it took Leonard to watch Hagler, basically go to war against John the Beast Mugabe, and then decide I can beat him now, and it still took him and then bugger about with the belts and get the rounds reduced and get the smaller, they get the bigger ring, thumbless gloves. It's just it's endless, man.
He did see that. He saw him take that beating from John Mugabe, and he was like, "There's a little something less of him left." And yeah, you're right. I mean, that's absolutely correct. I mean, he definitely saw something there.
Yeah, I mean that happens all the time throughout boxing, but it's usually not something where people are watching someone through the lens of a few years. So I don't know.
I'm just gonna say I think that, and this is probably not gonna go over well, but I think that David Benavidez is basically just Antonio Margarito, like a few sizes larger.
Maybe
Canelo Alvarez is gonna outbox him.
No, I don't think so because of the point I made, Donny, at the beginning. I think he's different because he has the explosive. No, I don't think so. He has that explosive hand speed to close the range. He's not. He's a lot faster and more explosive, I think, and direct than Margarito.
All right. Well, maybe that was a crude comparison, but
I mean, Margarito kind of was what his thing was. He had a good motor, a good chin, and he kind of had long legs compared to his torso, so he was able to cut off the ring pretty well.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not going to be able to muscle around, Canelo Alvarez the way he did with Demetrius Andrade. Like Demetrius Andrade looked visibly smaller in that ring. Like he looked like this. He looked definitely the smaller man, and like he's not going to be able to push Canelo Alvarez around like that. I mean,
He
no
doesn't
way.
have to necessarily get him against the ropes and be physical with him. Benavidez is like 6 inches taller than Canelo.
I don't know, man, but anybody who's picking Benavidez in that fight, I think has got another thing coming. I just think that's crazy.
I thought the same about people who picked Andrade last night. And,
Well, some people were drinking.
Well, shout out to a few of them, actually, Matty. I don't like hitting people when they're down, but we've got Barry Murray here, who was on our preview show comments.
I should be on the Value of the Week segment, right?
You could be. £350 on Andrade to beat Benavidez. Remember him? 4-1 odds, Matty. Couldn't resist those odds, he said. Andrade to use those slick southpaw skills to dance to a decision win. And there's Matthew Boone at the top. Matty, see him on the screen. Hashtag it to me again. I'll be back for an energy check on the 26th, which is today. Lol. We've all seen Benavidez before, numerous of them. I ain't never seen a boo-boo before. I got Andrade knocking him down and outboxing Benavidez, like I say.
There's the receipt delivered.
I heard something very similar on Saturday.
I did you one better. And I freely give my consent for that to be.
And I've got text messages to prove it.
What's the current exchange rate?
Wait, what?
For text messages?
No, for what's 350 pounds in American dollars right now?
Oh yeah, it's about the same, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I know somebody who lost $500 betting Andrade.
Yeah, me too. I don't know who that could be.
Some Egypt.
Yeah. Some impulsive bastard. I used one of my free bets on the ESPN new app, and the free bets they gave me, I did a little bit of hedge, and I just took one of them was Andrade to win in a worst case scenario. The other was Benavidez by KO. Got that Benavidez by KO money. Got a new app with a bankroll once again. Got a couple of bankrolls going. It's good times in the Matty household. Thank you, ESPN Bet, for your free money. I appreciated that very much.
Matty, can I just mention something before it slips my mind, because I'm old and I forget things, but this isn't the most important point of the night, but I know Showtime are closing up anyway, so it doesn't really matter long term, but the whole Steve Farhood thing, man, they're going to have to knock that on the head, him sitting at home and all, and in a high-profile fight like that, they're buzzing in Las Vegas, the crowd's going wild, and in between rounds, they cut to Farhood sitting on his couch for whatever reason. I'm not casting aspersions as to why he doesn't go to the fights, and he's just completely lacking any energy. The internet's all over the place. He's cutting in and out. I just think they're just Showtime are for the dogs anyway. But that shit's not working, man. They're gonna have to ditch off the likes of Farhood.
Wait, I didn't see this. What are you talking about, Steve?
He's been scoring from home for like basically since COVID, I think.
Yeah, which is fine, but it's seeing a big fight like that. We'd say you got a Spence, Crawford, Davis, Garcia, and then last night, and you go into Steve Farhood's front lounge on his Wi-Fi, and he's just. The energy just doesn't match up whatsoever, man. I think that's a terrible move from Showtime. No offense to Steve, he's a great writer and all, but no.
Yeah, Showtime are finished now, though. That's the thing as well. You've got loads of fighters when they a platform, and you've got Al Heyman having burnt bridges about how many platforms now?
Yeah.
5, 6.
Yeah.
Where was he going to go now? Amazon Prime burn them to the ground?
Wouldn't it be hilarious if somehow Al Heyman brings down Netflix?
Oh, but amazing.
Bring down themselves. Send him over to Disney.
Or yeah, no, that content isn't wholesome enough for Disney. That wouldn't work. But yeah. Anyhow, that was a good fight. Man, Donnie's that's so weird. He's in and out and in and out. Is he back in? Nope, maybe he's gone now. Anyhow, so anyhow, other than Canelo, Steve, who might you want to see Benavidez fight before we move on?
David Morrell, I think, which is a funny last fight for Showtime against this Sena Agbeko. I think he lost to Shishkin a while back, so he's no great shakes. Morrell, he has his little stronghold in Minneapolis. He loves beating people up. He's got a bit of previous. He's a hard puncher. I think he's going to be very difficult for anybody at the weight to beat. Don't think they'll make it against Benavidez. I think they'll keep them their separate directions and try and get one or two of them big fights elsewhere. But I don't know. If it's not him, I'm not sure what they'll do. Maybe Charlo, after fighting Benavidez, move him up. He looked pretty decent. I'm just thinking what they'll do. I wouldn't want to see that. But, something like that, it's a bit of a PBC move, isn't it, though?
Yeah. Well, and after fighting the brother, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Decent enough segue. Jermel.
Wait, after fighting one Charlo brother and being so underwhelming, I mean, fighting another one, I mean, that doesn't seem like good sales for Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, we're talking Benavidez.
Yeah,
because Jose just lost to Charlo last night. And what was very weird, it was a 163-pound catch weight, and there's no belt on the line, obviously, 10 rounds. And at which point Charlo came in a couple of pounds overweight for the fight still. And he was given 2 hours to make the weight, and he came in 0.2 pounds higher than he originally had weighed in. So thinking maybe he was just entirely disinterested and he might get whooped up in that. Alas, did not happen. He put on a good performance for being a guy who didn't come anywhere close to the agreement that they had on the contract. Had to pay out quite a bit of money to Benavidez for that, but. I don't know, Andy. He looked pretty sharp. The combinations were good, but nobody ever said that Benavidez moved his head.
The Charlo fight, mate, I never seen it. I was struggling to get the full file of the whole broadcast. I only caught the Matias main event and who was the other one? Garcia.
Yeah. So, Steve, why don't you hop in on that one?
Yeah, I don't know what Charlo's at the moment, mentally and physically. Coming in over the weight isn't a great look. I actually thought he looked really sharp. The two of them had nice little bellies, and Benavidez is tough as hell. He is a bit of a character. Took his licks, hadn't got the power to trouble Charlo, but Charlo looked really sharp. Jab was working lovely, overhand right as well, uppercut was flying in. Benavidez was trying his best, but apart from a bit of bravado later on in the fight, there was no love lost between the two. Both very spiky characters. Charlo, I do worry about where he's at mentally. He's always been a bit of a strange character, but they ask him a question and he just completely answers it. Maybe he's a bit of a tactician and he's not trying to give too much away, but he is such an odd character and you wonder whether getting punched in the head is probably the best profession for him. But that said, 10-rounder, he thanked the WBC, as he might, after being 2.5 years out of the ring. Let's just hope he gets the weight off now, gets back down and fights some decent people before he retires. As for Jose, yeah, I think I don't really know where he's going in his career at the moment. The PBC are obviously looking after him. He'll beat the lower level of opposition. He'll always be tough. Only Crawford caught up with him very late and stopped him. Apart from that, he is a pretty tough dude. But yeah, apart from that sort of ruggedness, I don't think he has too much to offer. But it was well matched, and to put these two on before the main event, it got the crowd going. There was a lot of heavy shots being thrown, a lot of shit talking. Good beards on display, good power punching. I think the way they matched the card up and the way they put the schedule on was well done by the PBC, and putting these two guys in together was a bit of a masterstroke from Tom Brown or whoever was matchmaking.
Yeah, that I don't know, man. I'm so underwhelmed with the Charlos. I just kind of, at the end of the day, I couldn't give a fuck. I just more or less give lip service at this point in time. One of them out of the ring for 2.5 years. the other one totally phoned in his biggest payday and just couldn't seem to give a shit about his non-effort. It's really tough to get behind those guys. Anyhow, and what was a very entertaining fight while it lasted, Ergashev sure tried to take it to Matias early, and he looked good, turning corners and just kind of lighting him up. But slowly but surely, Matias punched his way into it and punched the fight out of Ergashev, quitting after the 5th or the 6th round. But Andy, that was man, that Matias, there's something about him, man. He doesn't like blast you out of there. He just makes you not want to do it anymore, which is something in itself.
Absolutely. I mean, there's similar parallels between this fight and what happened in the main event. Actually, it's like Ergashev only like lasted like really one round to have an effort. It was the first round. He kind of like he buzzed up Matias very early with a left hand. Started very confident. He was catching Matias with combos, heads, and straight lefts. So I thought it was a really good opener by the challenge. I think this is going to be a really good fight. And then for some reason, he's just decided, right, okay, I'm going to go in the pocket with this guy and I'm going to battle out centre ring. And Matias just started landing more and he just, it was more his office, so to speak. And then by the third round, he's putting some real serious heat on Ergashev and he's taking body shots, he's taking more uppercuts. I just thought by about the 4th and 5th, Ergashev was looking lost. He was looking a bit of a spent force, shall I say. So I says he had a great opener, and by this point he's just looking like he's absolutely falling apart. Maybe it's just a lot to do with the shots that he's taking. He's just not fancying it anymore. But certainly something that he took in the very early half of that fight, it's really kind of like got him kind of like, nah, I don't know what you say. I don't want any more of this. So to be fair, just what can you say, mate? I mean, Ergashev, he just sat it out, shook his head, didn't want it anymore. It was just basically a quit job. I know somebody said about Andrade saying that he kind of quit and he's still on that as well. Could say the same about Ergashev and that as well. He wanted no more. Matias was just landing more heavy shots and he had no answer for him. For some reason, he just wanted to get in the pocket with him for some reason and just wanted to try and have it out with him. Which, off that performance, at least, it's the wrong thing to do. Got to keep that guy at distance and try and box and move as best you can and just try and keep away from his heavy third and shots, because eventually, if he does get to you, he will just keep you on the ropes, try and get you in the ropes and just break you down eventually, because the power seems to be legit, mate. It really does seem to be legit. So it's going to take an exceptional boxer, I think, to really kind of like deal with him, I think, and someone who's really cute on the inside and that as well with him.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who that might be at 140 pounds. It's a fairly deep division. There's got to be a couple of names that could really give him a rough
Lopez.
Yeah, Tio, absolutely. That would be a good fight.
Progress. Well, he's fighting Haney. Well, here's Haney come up.
Haney could really that's an interesting style matchup. 100%. I doubt we'd ever see that. I think it would be funny to see Rolly Romero take him on. Who wouldn't want to see Rolly Romero face Matias?
He'd kill Romero, wouldn't he?
A live execution on pay-per-view.
Destroy him. Gary Antoine Russell, that'd be a fun fight. Two of them straight at each other, heavy punches.
Yeah, and Gary can swing quite a bit. You're right. Yeah, they're looking for a title. I think he's fairly highly ranked. I have about 8 tabs opened up for our previews, so I'm not gonna go looking at the rankings in here. But
he's 17-0, 17 KOs, isn't he? Matias is 20-1, 20 KOs. Stick him in and let him flip and swing it out.
It's great to say as well, because Matias is 31 now. I mean, he's all the fight he's ever going to be at this point. So let's get the big fights made at 140. So if it's, as you say, if it's Romero, if it's Prograis Haney winner, Lopez, I don't know if he's vacated the WBO belt, he's still floating about. What's his deal with Top Rank? Is he a free agent now? I'm not sure about that.
It's all very confusing. It's all very confusing.
And of course, as well, we don't know what's happening with the PBC fighters in terms of networks, that type of thing. So will they get to cross over? Big Al's got to do something about with them.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what may come of it. 140 pounds is hot. 135 is. And I kind of look at him a little bit interchangeably, as it may be. But Steve, this was a really fantastic war kind of while it lasted. But much like Jeremias Ponce, he figured he'd stand in there, and it just didn't work. But it was definitely a good bang for your buck while it lasted.
Well, it was a lot like the Ponce fight, actually, wasn't it? That's a good comparison. The same again. Ponce came and put it on him for that first round, threw a lot of shots, tried to get him out of there. Ergashov did exactly the same. I think he didn't wobble him, but he sort of caught him off balance with a bit of a left hand to the body in the first round. And you thought, oh, this is going to be interesting. But Matias, man, he's must-see TV for me. I think he's one of my he's probably my favourite fighter at the moment. I just love him. I think he's class, man. He's proper bloodthirsty. He just beats the shit out of people relentlessly. He loves a fight. He has that loss on his record, but we all know there was extenuating circumstances for that. He's bounced back from someone dying in the ring, which is no small feat, man. That destroys people mentally. And he's come back, and this is the fifth person, me and Dominic Henry were talking about this off air, fifth person in a row who's retired on their stool now. He just makes people quit and say, fuck this, man. I don't want any more against this guy. He's just too much for me, including a win over Ananyan, who beat him before. Ponce was the same. His dad pulled him out, said, right, that's enough. Ergashev, absolutely the same. Sugar Hill in his corner, beast, could punch. The body shots just killed him. When they were going to the head against each other, Ergashev was able to duck as best as he could, but Matias just stood there and just started hitting him to the body so hard. Ergashev just couldn't put up with it, man. He was knackered. And as Andy mentioned, he was just standing there and taking shots. I just don't think he could escape. Just didn't know what to do. He stood on the ropes and says, I'm going to bang it out with him and try and knock him out before he knocks me out. And Matias is like, okay, that's fine. I'll do that. Ergashev's styles worked for him for so long against lesser opponents. He just couldn't or wouldn't able to do anything else. But yeah, man, I love Matias. I think he's brilliant. I was saying on Friday night, actually, I hope they put him in against a big unification fight before he burns out. Because one day he's going to melt, isn't he, fighting like this? Someone's going to catch him or take his shots, and he's not going to be able to get through. So while he's hot, let's get him in the unifications, banging him out in his prime against fellow champions. He's just a bloodthirsty guy, man. I think he's brilliant.
No mas Matias.
No mas Matias. We were trying to caught with something, Andy. That's class. Well done.
Fucking A. Fucking A. Yeah, it was that was not the upset to be, but below that, there was an upset to be coming in about 2-1. Lamont Roach taking out Hector Garcia with a very, very close split decision. Which I thought he had more rounds in the bank than that. It was a questionable knockdown call by Tony Weeks in the final round. In what on closer inspection really did seem to be a shot behind the head. But I'll tell you what, Steve, it's just one of those things where luckily Weeks' incompetence was able to save Roach from the incompetence of the judges. Handing him a 130-pound strap in the process in a fight where I really thought he earned it, especially down the stretch.
Yeah, that's a really nice way of looking at it, actually. I hadn't thought about that. I always shudder when I see Tony Weeks in the ring. He's my least favourite referee, man. I can't stand him. But in this one, he didn't have a chance to bugger things up, so fair enough. But as for the judges, I agree with you. I heard a few people saying, oh, Garcia deserved to get the win. I didn't see that at all. I thought Roach is one of these guys who's always had the talent, good amateur. He's had it within him, and you see him losing to Jamel Herring, and I automatically think that kind of puts him at a certain level. But I remember the fight against Herring, well, to a certain degree, and he buzzed him late on and just didn't put... He's one of these guys who didn't let his shots go, didn't put his punches together. And there was times in the middle of the rounds here where I thought it was going to be the same, but Garcia was so passive. I wonder whether he's one of these guys who was on a really good run, and then he got battered by Davis, hurt so hard, said he couldn't see, worrying signs. Now he's lost to Roach. Is that him now on a downward spiral? Is he going to start losing fights now? And with sort of the way the unbeaten record goes and the mystique as such disappears. And he struggled against Gutierrez again, said this on Friday night late on in the fight. So with him and Roach going late, I thought maybe Roach can get the win, but the scores are ridiculous. 116, 111. That was a Robert Hoyle score in favour of Roach. I thought that was fair enough. As for 114, 113 to Roach, all based on that fake knockdown, really. Cuffing left behind the head, sort of pushed him to the canvas. Weeks called it 114, 113 in Garcia's favour to DeLuca. As the commentary team said, if that knockdown hadn't been scored, which wasn't a knockdown really, then it would have been a majority draw or something, and Roach would have been robbed, man. I thought it was bullshit. He outboxed him for the majority of the contest, outlanded him. Garcia was very passive, standing back on his shots. A lot like Gervonta Davis, actually. Before we saw Garcia motoring forward, throwing a lot of shots, but he was a lot more passive and just throwing one shot at a time. And I don't know whether he's the Bob Santos. He seemed to think he was doing all right. Last round, I thought, right, they're going to give him a firecracker up the ass here and say, you need to go out and throw a few shots. He was like, touch the body and be conservative or be safe, something like that. And I was like, bloody hell, man. I don't think that's the fight I'm seeing, but Bob Santos saw that, Matty, and the judges were seeing the same fight as he was, and he very much nearly got away with the decision. So, yeah, fair play to Roach. Deserved it.
He did, and it'll be interesting to see where they take him next. I think my boy Otar Arenosyan is ranked closely behind him.
Get him in.
Yeah, I want to see him get his chance. I think Roach is a good opponent for him. Andy, did you catch this one? I thought, yeah, for me, a lot of people said it was boring, and I don't necessarily think that this was a boring fight. I think compared to some of the fights we've seen recently that were definitely boring, like the Shakur Stevenson fight, I thought that there was enough going on. There was the shots that they did find were clever enough to show that it was a pretty tactical affair, fought on a fairly high level at the end of the day.
I kind of get where you're coming from, but I did think there was not enough activity in the fight for me, and I personally don't think there was enough activity coming from the champion. He spent a lot of it on the back foot, a lot of manoeuvring. Really, when Roach was kind of like happy to kind of like spear his jab out and let a few combinations go, that type of thing, and that as well. But I'd seen a comment as well. I just wanted to, I'm sure I'm right in saying this, but that knockdown, practically with what if it wasn't for a knockdown, that would have been a majority draw, I think,
That's
or
right.
split draw,
Yeah.
draw. So I'm sure it is. So I don't know. Maybe it's the type of thing it should have went to, like, so, like you got the kind of like the replays at ringside and that type of thing. If anything contentious, it could have looked at
I'm
it that
glad
way.
it didn't, because I thought Roach earned the fight, and the judge almost fucked him. I was like,
I get that as well, because that's what I'm kind of saying. I mean, look, in the day, Garcia wasn't really active enough. Sometimes you got to really take it to the champion. I think, at least in my opinion, I thought Roach was doing that. He was pressing the fight, at least trying to make it a fight. I personally think he won the fight. I got like a 160, 111 type scorecard, possibly. Definitely won the fight for me. I was disappointed in Garcia, in my personal opinion. I thought I was expecting far more for him, actually. And what he delivered, I don't know if it was injuries or if it was an issue with the weight. I don't know what it was, but he just was not what I expected him to be. And it says his lack of activity suggests to me, at least, that he either had issues with the hand speed, what Roach could sometimes put together, or he wanted to try and pace himself, or he expected a kind of longer, tougher fight and that, but was not impressed with him. And then obviously he got rocked pretty heavily in the 11th. I know the kind of knockdown is a bit suspect, that type of thing as well, but the way he kind of like reacted to it as well, and that it did look like it, because I had to rewind it a little bit, and I still didn't see it really kind of land in real time either.
It was like a cuffing left hand behind the head. He almost sort of pushed him down to the canvas, didn't he?
The way he kind of shuffled across the ring and fell on the ropes, it kind of like maybe sold it a wee bit, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Garcia, that I just kind of feel like he's a guy who, after he got punched pretty good, is kind of a little afraid of taking a shot now. He just that fight against Tank.
I agree.
He got a good payday, but I think that fight changed him forever.
Yeah, rewired him a bit, didn't it? And that whole business afterwards saying, "Oh, I can't see, I don't know where I am," and all this, that was worrying, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it does beg the question, and that you just never know, eh?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he passed the test. I mean, however confident they are in giving them.
You could pass the test right now, for Christ's sake.
Fucking A. Put me in.
Even high on weed, man, you would pass that fucking Nevada medical test, no problem.
Fucking A. I like that. Well, it's time for the second career. Throw me in. Let's do this. What do you think? Should I just fight at my natural weight and be a cruiser, or should I lose 15, 20 pounds?
Nah, you need to Benavidez, mate. Come down and be a weight bully,
God damn, for me to become a weight bully at my size, I'd have to lose probably like 40, 50 pounds.
I'd like to see you fight Beterbiev, Matty.
That's what I want to see Benavidez in the fight, by the way, without any of this other crap going on in the background. Not any promoters and platforms and TV networks. I want to see Benavidez against fucking Beterbiev.
Yeah, that's a good one, dude.
I would love that. Sign me right up for that one, by the way.
I would love that fight, 100%. Right there with you. You never know. I wouldn't entirely put that one out. I think Beterbiev is near the end of the road with his top rank contract, and he might be curious about what other options might be there. Be they Bivol, or Benavidez, the three Bs rocking around here.
Benavidez definitely is a bigger draw for him there. Like, go to be. I mean, he's got a Mexican following. He has. You know, I heard the fans there last night. He has got a bit of a following, Benavidez.
He with his style and what he's doing in the ring, he's what the Mexican fans wanted Chavez Jr. to be. You know, as a big guy, guy.
Yeah, that's a fair point, I think.
And unfortunately, he could not do that for them. All he could give them was one round of hope. Anyhow.
I'll never forget that picture of Chavez Jr. lying in a hospital bed after Martinez had fucked. I don't know. Was it Martinez or was it Golovkin? No, Canelo. Sorry, so the Canelo fight. And he's lying there in the hospital bed. You've got Da Chavez looking at the top of him, looking at him with disgust. Remember that?
Ready to put him up for adoption.
Somebody's got a bubble kind of thought there. He said that. I wish Canelo was my son.
Poor son of a bitch. But let's see here. Andy, I don't know that you caught anything else on the pay-per-view portion of the telecast. No. Steve, you were able to catch Lipinets and Rivera, as well as Vito Milnicki working his way up from his defeat. God, that's probably been 10 fights ago now. How'd you like the action?
Yeah, I did actually. It was good. They had that Luke Thomas, and Brian Campbell was in doing the Jim Gray job. I'm not sure what happened to Jim Gray, but Brian Campbell was in with Breadman Edwards, and it was like you could tell Showtime was sort of closing down. I said it in the Nuthouse chat last night. It's almost as if they put these two in the spare room and taken away all the equipment. And afterwards, these two fellas they did a good job, actually, to be honest with you. But the only fight I couldn't catch, which was of interest to me, was the Pablo Vicente Mohamed Yakubov fight. It was of pretty decent significance because the winners mandatory for Oshaki Foster. Yakubov won the fight on a 10-round decision. Didn't see it, like I said, but he's going to fight Foster in a rematch. He's already lost to Foster, so that's that one. As for Milnicki, you're right. He's only 21. We have to remember that. You know, he lost to James Martin. They brought him back. He's 16-1 now, 11 knockouts. Really good puncher. This was a good win against Flores. He was no world beater, but he's shown reasonable form at a decent level in the past. And Milnicki was going through the motions first minute and a half, and then caught him with shots, dropped him 3 times. Referee said, right, that's it, get rid of Flores. Milnicki rolls on. Him and Joey Spencer, kind of two guys on the way up, both suffered a loss. Watching them bounce back is interesting. And the other fight, Lipinets against Rivera. I picked Lipinets on points on the prediction league. Just thought he'd have too much for Rivera. He kept coming forward, throwing a lot of shots, but he looked slow, man. He took too many. Once Rivera got into his groove after about the 5th round, he got the jab going. He was moving. He was ducking Lipinets' shots, landing some nice counters. He looked really good. 97-93, fair enough for me. Rivera rolls on. Lipinets, they'll keep on throwing him back out against fighters of lesser ability. He's a grinder, but he's took a lot of shots now. He's, as you said, Matty, he's fought. It's quite a condensed career. He was fighting like Garcia in his 12th or 13th fight, and here he is now sort of being shelled up in a crossroads fight against Rivera. But Rivera's good. He can punch. He's not going to beat the Frank Martins of this world, but at a certain level, he'll be in exciting fights, and kind of glad he won, really, even though he did scud me on the prediction league.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I would worry me about Rivera is he did get hurt in the later rounds there, and I don't think he has the tank or the legs to get through 12.
Yeah, he's been dropped in the past, hasn't he, as well? Albeit by legitimate punchers as well, like John Fernandez. So
and Martin.
Yep, good point. Yeah.
So yeah, that was a pretty damn good last pay-per-view by Showtime. Gonna miss him. Not gonna miss paying $75. But at least this provided good action for the money. And at least I had a picture and was able to watch it from the beginning, unlike Donnie, who's apparently just has shitty internet altogether. And he tried ordering it, and the screen was just black. Did not go well for Mr. Baseball, unfortunately. And you wonder what if anybody's been watching it from our vantage point. Donnie goes in and out of the room while he talks. It's the strangest thing. And now he's disappeared for like more than 20 seconds. So it's a mystery if he'll be back or not. Mm-hmm. We shall find out. What was not a mystery was how much fun the fans were having in Ireland last night as Katie Taylor was able to get revenge with a majority decision victory over Chantel Cameron. In a fight that, I thought that there might have been a little bit of bias from the direction of the commentary crew. I thought that the draw card was a little bit closer to what happened. 96-94 Taylor, I could see. I kind of thought that it could go either direction, to be honest with you. But it was a really good fight where, it's just late down the stretch, Taylor's probably doing a little bit too much holding and kind of took a little bit of the shine off of the entertainment value. But Andy, I thought, honestly, it was a fight that could have gone either way, but Katie probably deserved to just barely nick it. Didn't agree with the 98-92, but I thought she probably did just enough to win the fight if you consider hometown advantage.
Yeah, she started kind of aggressively, but I did think the jab that knocked her down should have been called as a knockdown. That's one thing. I think the scorecard, you're right, 98-92 was a bit wide. End of the day, look, it was a kind of. It was a bit of a kind of aggressive opener, but I did think as well, as I thought Cameron was kind of like standoffish a little bit in that as well. But you could tell in that as well with the pressure on Katie Taylor. A lot of people obviously wrote her off. I thought she would have got beat as well. Really thought Cameron would have really kind of like stepped it up for like the last fight. Hasn't really done that. I wouldn't go overboard by saying it was absolutely thrilling and all that type of stuff. It was just a bit of a brawl really. There was not much in terms of like quality. I don't think in that as well. To be fair, as you mentioned the holding that as well. And obviously you got Cameron with that bad cut. I think it was caused by headbutt. I think she was caught with that swelling pretty early doors. I think with a potential head clash, and then it's just gradually got worse over the course of the fight. But at the end of the day, look, fair play to Taylor. As I said, a lot of people kind of wrote her off. She's come back well. I would probably need to say we want to see a trilogy at least. I would love the trilogy to go 12 threes. I don't like the 10 twos. I keep saying it, especially at this level. I think these women should be giving us 10 threes and that. Sorry, 12 threes, sorry. I just think it would be a wee bit more entertaining. I just think it looks like, I keep saying it again, the 10 twos, it's just too frantic. It's just too short. And I just think, we could get a wee bit kind of more a clearer winner possibly over 12 rounds, especially over 3 minutes and that as well. So I'll leave it at that. But definitely the knockdown should have been scored for Cameron, sorry. And that would definitely have swung out one of the scorecards. Definitely, I think I'm trying to remember what were the scorecards again. Sorry, I know that the
one
big
was a draw, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah,
one eye.
And then I'm thinking 96-94 and 97-94.
So 96-94 was about right.
We could have ended up a draw in that fight, and if that knockdown had been scored,
That's right. That's right.
I think it would be a majority draw. So I think we've got to have a third fight, honestly. And I think if she wins that, Taylor, I think she can then call it quits after that. Great career. And she walk off in the sunset, so to speak. So, Cameron's done her bit as well, but I expect a bit more for her. I believe she's a fighter who really thrives on confidence. That it's going to be sound weird to say this as a unified champion, but there's maybe a wee bit lack of self belief there. Sometimes you got to kind of like gear up to get her going. Sometimes maybe it was just a lack of that. Maybe it was just her being champion. Maybe just I'm not going to say a lack of effort or hunger or whatever it is now, but maybe it's better to be the challenger than it is sometimes to be the champion. It's harder to be champion for some people. I'll leave it at that.
Amen. Steve, how did you feel on the scorecards and where you might have personally been scoring the fight at? I kind of thought the commentary wasn't calling a bit of Cameron shots on that one. I thought specifically she caught Taylor with a few good uppercuts coming in that didn't seem to get mentioned as well. And like I said, probably lean Taylor in it, but I kind of thought it was like the Serrano fight. Could have been a draw, could have been 96-94 either direction. Beyond that, I don't think you're giving either fighter credit. I mean, there are probably 5 legitimate swing rounds in there.
Yeah, I think a resolve and a work rate gets her through. There have been a few tight decisions in the past. You mentioned Serrano there, the Pursoon, especially the first fight as well. The second one in the Garden as well. Have all seemed to have gone her way. I thought it was a decent brawl, like Andy. I thought the commentators got carried away, but you can't really blame them. The crowd are going absolutely wild. There's a lot of emotion. the storyline was catching up with them. The fact that Katie Taylor was at home and she was reversing it. Everyone thought she was writing her off. A lot of people thought she might have even got stopped in this one. And she was sort of not only turning it around, but just dragging everyone along with her to get this win at home that she's wanted for so long. And that dragged them into Fight of the Year territory, which I think it was a bit too sloppy to be Fight of the Year. It was quite a dirty fight as well. I think the holding was getting pretty ridiculous towards the end, but as for Katie, we mentioned the 12 threes and that. I think she has the style absolutely nailed down for 10-2s now. I mentioned it again in the chat last night, but she throws like a 4 or 5 punch frenzied combination. Some land here and there, half of them don't land, and then she jumps in and holds. And all the time, the crowd are going absolutely wild for everything. And this style has just worked a treat for her, especially at home when everybody's behind her. So fair play to her and her coach, Ross Emine, isn't it? Whose work I wasn't really familiar with before he hooked up with Katie, but he's managed to get her this far. And they obviously looked at the game plan and looked at what they needed to do. The heads came in early. I think she bounced off the ropes and caught Chantel. And you can't make excuses at this level, but obviously with the blood pissing down you, she's probably never experienced that before, to my knowledge, fighting on away turf. Things were going against her, the swelling as well. She felt like there was a lot of holding. The referee wasn't doing anything. You can start to feel sorry for yourself. And I think Cameron did, which understandably so, start to feel a bit sorry for herself that everything was kind of stacked against her as well. And at some point, I'm sure
there could have been a point deduction in there against Taylor quite easily. I thought the holding did get excessive at a certain point. I don't know.
They could do. I wonder if as well sometimes the mentality of some fighters at a point is, I'm going to try, obviously, but I can't be bothered. At least enough has been done that I can come off the back of this and say, well, there was a knockdown, should have gone in my favour. The referee was biased. There's enough excuses sort of been built in by that point that I'm not saying Chantel would maybe use them, but there's a lot of excuses. And she could have said, well, this is what's happened. This is the reason why I've lost, to herself as much as to anybody else. But as for Katie, just to close out, of all of her qualities, people talk about her boxing ability, her all-round athleticism, going from football to boxing and reigning for as long as she has at amateur and their professional level. I think the resolve she has and the durability are two of her greatest assets, because she looks absolutely bollocks from about the first round. Her hair's always coming out by about the fourth round. And yet she still just keeps on going and going and going, man. I don't know what the hell they're doing in training, but fair play to her. She has some absolute engine on her. And I think that engine has got her through a lot of fights as much as her boxing skill, to be honest, Matty.
Be a brave man to take her on the sack with the stamina she's got, by the
way. I think really the thing about her, though, is I think that engine only serves her about 15 minutes of the fight. And that's why I wouldn't look to see her in 12 threes.
That's what I was saying, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's I just don't see that happening. But I still think, if they can't come to agreement on that, give them 12-2s. There's got to be a little bit more to this. But anyhow, I look forward to potentially seeing a trilogy come out of this. I think that there's definitely a possibility of that. Not a whole lot of other big money making options outside of that fight. So. But we'll see what comes down the pike there. Hopefully, Katie has a Merry Christmas, and so does Chantel. I thought that they both gave it a good go there. And, good fight. Don't think it was the women's fight of the year, though. I think that's still going to go to Clavel and Jessica Neri Plata at this point in time. That was a good fucking fight.
So, I saw that fight as well, Matty. I'm a hardcore now on the Chicks with Dig scene. That was a Canada one, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. Yeah, in February. Yeah.
Right there with you.
Yep. Good freaking fight. So, it was but that was a pretty damn entertaining fight. I definitely enjoyed the main event. There was a split decision win for Gary Coley over Reese Mold underneath that one. Andy, did you catch it?
That was the only fight I seen on the zone card, and it was a Taylor Cameron fight.
Steve, fair decision?
You know what? I don't know. So I can't really comment because I was at this time. I can't remember what I was doing. I think maybe the youngsters wouldn't go to bed or something, but I wasn't watching it completely. But I was keeping up to date with people texting back and forward. A lot of love for Reese Mold and for what he was doing. So I can understand why a lot of people were pissed off at that. But Cully, I don't know, man. I think it's going to be difficult for him, isn't it? Unless he's going to end up at light heavyweight. So I think eventually he's absolutely huge, but the chin's up in the air. I thought he tried to change his style as best as he did, and he was functional just to get through the fight, just to get the win. I thought it was quite a weak support fight. Eddie, I don't know, he hasn't got the names or he's not able to put them on, but it was a good fight for both guys at this stage of their career. But Cully, he's just an accident waiting to happen. I know he got past mold, but this is quite a low level compared to what they're saying about him. It could be that he's got this out of his system. He's got the loss to the Mexican out of his system and he will improve. But I just think the first decent person who puts it on him, bit of a dig, catches him every time he got caught, the legs, as they would for a guy getting down in weight, what he does, they just seem to wobble a little bit. I just don't see a great future for poor old Gary Cully. And I've seen him from when he was fighting as an amateur back in the day, so sort of have admiration for him, but I just don't think there's anything there, man. Really, to be honest with you. But on the flip side, I'll seamlessly transition myself, Matty, if you don't mind, into Paddy Donovan, the polar opposite man.
Steve. Yeah. People transition all the time these days. You go on and do it. So
we'll maybe get a super chat for Wellington transitioning on a Sunday night. But Paddy Donovan looks the goods, man. His brother Edward's good as well, but I just think he looks brilliant. He looks the part. He fights the part. I've seen him up close and personal fighting a couple of times, and his judgment of distance, watching him at ringside, the way he moves his feet, the way he steps back out of range, I think he's the complete package. I know they all talk a lot of shit and they all say, oh, so-and-so's brilliant. This guy's going all the way. I agree with Andy Lee and Eddie on this one. Danny Ball's no mug. He's a guy who's done things the hard way, lost a lot of weight back in the day, got himself to a certain level, but he just wasn't able to mix with Donovan. And it went on for as long as Donovan wanted it to, I think. And he looks the business, man. He puts his shots together lovely. He's really skilled.
I thought the end was just a smidge quick.
Okay.
I thought that the ball could have definitely got up, and I felt that flurry that Donovan threw in the corner was mostly ineffective, and he very well could have punched himself out. I would have liked to have seen a full count on that, and the fucking corner not throwing the towel.
That's what I was just gonna say. The corner threw the towel, and didn't they, after the body shot? So I suppose we'll never know.
Yeah, I feel like he might have punched himself out there a little bit, Steve, and that was he might have been saved from a mistake that he made there, and hopefully he learned rather than the easy way rather than the hard way in this case.
Mm-hmm. As for the rest of the card, if you want me to just quickly slide through, I can do.
Yeah, what else was on there?
Vizioli started off on the YouTube portion, banged out Lee Anthony Sibley. Lovely left hand, looks good. It's only his debut, we don't know. The heavyweight fight was really sloppy shit, man. Thomas Carty, heard a lot about him. He's a bit of a banter king, a Sean, big sexy Turner type. Done a lot of sparring with Dillian White. There's going to be a lot of pressure on these guys fighting in front of their home crowd. Him against Dan Garber, 8th round stoppage. Garber just ran out of gas. It wasn't great, that one. Jamie Morrissey against Emmett Brennan. Brennan was an Olympian, had a lot of problems with the drink, which is well documented. He'll tell you that himself, and he sort of turned his life around, gone sober. I see a lot of him on LinkedIn, actually. Does a lot in inner city Dublin, working with the youngsters and that. He's an all-round good guy, and he's 2-0 now after stopping Morrissey for the BUI Celtic heavyweight title, so power to him. Zelfa Barrett, didn't watch that fight, watched the first few rounds and gave up. John Cooney, I was saying he fought Liam Gaynor, not to be confused with Gloria Gaynor. Liam Gaynor's a decent Dublin fighter on the domestic scene. John Cooney, I saw him fight in Belfast in October, and he was quite boring and defensive. And then, of course, it became clear now why, because he was preserving himself for this big night, didn't want to get cut, didn't want to get injured, came out, blasted Gaynor. That one could have been allowed to continue, maybe, I don't know, but Cooney got the win, looks good. And Sky Nicholson, Hands of Stone, a.k.a. Alexis Arguello, female version, banging out Lucy Wildheart with a flurry in the 9th round, I think it was. WBC interim featherweight title. My pal David Irving jumping in and saving Wildheart from a beating as the shots flew in there, Matty.
Yeah, just kind of bust her nose there. I think the corner might have threw in the towel, didn't they, on that one?
Well, possibly, I don't know. But as for Sky, you know better than me, Matty, but I think she looks talented and she looks the part, but she's she can't punch, man, and she doesn't excite me, to be honest with you.
Well,
as a boxer,
she's holding the interim for one of the belts that Amanda Serrano has at featherweight, so I think they might be setting that up. Maybe it's for Amanda Serrano's Puerto Rican homecoming that they're planning for next year. We'll see how that goes. Honestly, I would seriously go to see Amanda Serrano and Sky Nicholson fight in Puerto Rico. Looking for a reason to go to Puerto Rico. There you go. But I would definitely see Serrano winning that one, especially in Puerto Rico. I don't know if they can get it for the 12-3s, especially because I think Sky is the WBC interim, and the WBC were the ones that balked at doing sanctioning the 12-3s in Serrano's last fight. So it'd probably be at 10-2s, unfortunately. But yeah, I could see that fight definitely happening. Rob, glad to see you're here. Rob Kelly joined us on the call. I thought that he was out engaging in protest or something right now. Glad to see you're here, Rob.
Cough.
We have officially wrapped up. We have officially wrapped up both cards. That's probably me paying attention to the news, Rob. Always have a quip. We've just wrapped up both cards of the major cards. So anything you saw over the weekend, please, Rob, get into it as broadly or as narrowly as you want to.
All right. Fair enough. Thanks for that guidance. Obviously saw the Katie Taylor fight, the DAZN card. Thought Donovan looked really good. Good punch selection. He's looked good for a while. I've obviously been following him because Andy's been training him, so I've been looking at like all his earlier fights, but last night was his first kind of step up. And he looks like he's capable. I don't want to jump the gun when it comes to Irish fighters and start predicting what could be, but I think he's definitely capable of being in the mix down the line if he continues like that. It seems to be getting better each out. Brilliant punch to do the job, so enjoyed that. Gary Cully fight absolutely stunk. Didn't enjoy that at all. He was exciting when he was kind of knocking people out, and he was showing his attributes going forward and that, like big guy, southpaw. He looked really good when he was stopping guys, but then when he got clipped, obviously fucking that went out the window, and I think he looked tentative last night. I didn't think he
That
showed
left
great.
hand is glued to his chin. It's fucking glued.
Yeah, like he thought, and he's not. He's too pawy with the jab for a guy his size. Like he's fucking, it's too kind of. He's using the jab like a much shorter fighter. Like he should be stepping on that jab from a guy with his distance. Stop fellas coming in, like using it like a ramrod. Like, but he's just pawing with it. He's kind of leaning on the front foot, feinting on the front foot. He kind of has a style that doesn't suit his body, if that makes sense. And his footwork, I thought, going side to side, he looked like one of those. This is going to sound like an asshole saying this shit, but it's just like an observation. Like he looked like, when you're doing a boxing drill and fellas are going around the cones and they're kind of moving their feet side to side. That's what he looked like when he was trying to be evasive. And someone that can cut the ring is not going to have too much trouble fighting him, I don't think. And even with the fucking hand glued to his chin, he still shipped a lot of shots last night. So look, I think obviously there's pressure on him. He gets knocked out on the undercard of the last Katie Taylor fight. If he loses last night, career's over. But it was a thin decision, wasn't it? Like it was who you like, really. Like I don't know if it was a great performance from him, but I don't know what his level is anyway. So, but that was all forgiven with the quality of the main event. Listen, for the sake of Rican, don't ever listen to what the fuck I'm saying on Boxing Asylum and then try and base a prediction on it or a judgment, because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I thought she was going to get beaten worse than she got it in the first fight, but what a performance! I mean, like, she didn't let Cameron back her to the ropes. She was slipping. She was countering the jab. She was arm locking. She was headbutting. She was using all her experience. She was having the last word. And I thought, controversial knockdown call aside, I still think I thought she'd done enough to win the fight. Maybe a lot of people had 6-4, maybe 9-3. If you have it 6-4, then the knockdown makes it a draw, and Cameron holds onto her belts. I'm sure she is bitterly disappointed at losing her world title, but she is going to get the chance to make more money than she's ever made, or any probably woman in her division can make. By having a rematch if they can get it at a bigger venue. I don't think it's going to be at Croke Park, but I do think it'll be at a bigger stadium. Jamie Moore apparently said afterwards that he's not coming back to Dublin, so maybe they will do it somewhere else. I don't think Croke Park is going to be doable, but it was an amazing night for her, and that was the kind of finale that you would have wanted to see her have. Now I know she's going to have another fight, and she knows that's a potential money spinner as well. In the 37, you kind of would want to see her retire, but the performance last night was fucking sensational. So many combinations, and just using her experience and ring generalship to get through. And I thought Cameron, for the first 4 rounds. Kind of let it slip away from her because she couldn't get into the fight. Down the stretch, I thought she abandoned the body work that worked so well for her in the first fight, and then down the stretch she came on strong. But she's nothing to be ashamed of. It was a very close fight between two high-level women's fighters, and I liked that Taylor actually was a little bit more like the impression that I do of her last night post-fight, where she had a bit of brashness about her, and she was like, "Never rule me out. No, anyone that ever says anything about me, don't ever rule me out. They don't know me, those people." And I thought she had a deserved moment, is what I'd say about that card. So that was brilliant for Katie Taylor. Hopefully she doesn't carry on for too much longer and end up kind of losing. She's had a redemption here. Maybe they'll do the trilogy. Maybe they won't. Maybe there'll be another Serrano fight. Maybe Baumgardner. Maybe Baumgardner, who's recently presumed herself innocent, will get a shot. Maybe at 35. Vindicated. I hear for all those who were working on and helping me work on the Free Obanov campaign, it's actually after picking up a lot of steam because we've had the judges ruling that she's guilty of a brutal murder. And there was a 99.9% match to the DNA of the bat, but we've gone to an independent lab and they've come back and said there's a 0.001 chance that she didn't do it. And if the bat don't fit, you must have quit. You know what I mean? So that campaign's picking up steam. We've declared her innocent, and we're expecting her to be let out of jail any day soon. I don't know. I don't know where the fuck I was going with that one. But anyway, yeah, we get to Baumgartner later, I'm sure. But yeah, the main card then in the States. Again, don't listen to me. I was saying I thought Andrade would give Benavidez a more difficult night. Obviously, he's not done up at 68, but Benavidez, we hear one of Steve's favorite phrases is, "He's beat this guy the way he should beat him." Like, we expect him to beat Andrade. Well, all right, he's got out and he's fucking smashed him up, hasn't he? Like, buzzsaw, cuts the ring, young, throws a lot of punches, doesn't really abandons his defense. He's a scary guy, like, and I really don't think Canelo's going to fight him. I'll be honest with you. I don't think that fight's going to happen. I think we get something different from both of them. But I think Benavidez could probably reign long at 68 and maybe go up to 75 along the way. In terms of Charlo versus Benavidez, other Charlo and other Benavidez, I didn't even watch that shit, man. I was like, he came in, 3 pounds over the weight or something. I just didn't watch that. Like, when I saw the result, I was like, I'm not watching that back. Like, I don't know how he looked, but maybe he's a fill me in. But yeah, that's about as much as I saw.
Do you not see Matthias, Rob? No.
No. I haven't got to Matthias yet.
Man, you got to get on board.
No. I've been looking at I've seen all the interviews and that, like, and just the clips, but I haven't actually seen the fight. I had fucking so much shit to do today, but I'm going to get to it for sure.
It's worth it, man. It's good.
Yeah, people are saying that like the only two people that could beat him are maybe Haney and Tank Davis. I don't know. I'll have to watch him. Like.
Yeah, I think you might actually enjoy Roach versus Garcia. I think there's something that the purist in you might
don't inflict that on him, Matty. Come on, he's only got so many hours in the day.
I don't know. What? Be like Andy and watch it at 5 times speed.
It's just like a big long episode of Benny Hill.
Oh Lordy, this is us. This is our life. Anyhow, let's see here. Do we have some questions or comments in there, Steve?
Yes, I think we did floating around. I can't remember what they are though, Matty. So it's like the blind leading the blind here.
Yeah, we got a few here. First one is from our friend Matt Butters, who joined us on the call last week. Said, interested to hear what the lads think about the December 23rd card that's just been announced. People split on it being a good card with decent names versus just a bunch of mismatches backed by the Saudis. Andy, what are your thoughts on the card? And also, real quick, I do want to say to our good friend Beat Bob Boot, we will certainly get to your discussion about the Usyk and Fury press conference and all that too.
Freeze him out, Matty.
No, we will take care of you, buddy. Last week was insane.
Well, let's be fair. It's good on paper. There is certain fights, shall we say, that just didn't fill me with any great hope. I mean, like Bivol against Arthur, there's got negativity written all over it. Hergovich against Demure, absolute trash.
That one is trash for sure.
That is absolute shite. Kabayel Makhmudov. Look, Makhmudov, we all know what he is. Kabayel, I think we discussed it last week actually. Jai Opataya is obviously, I don't know if this is his first fight back since the Bredes fight, possibly.
No, remember he fought.
Is he fought since then?
Yeah, he fought in the UK like a month and a half ago.
Oh, that's right. Aye, and plus, I think he's also been told he's got to rematch Fredis as well.
Jordan Thompson, was it? Was that who he fought?
That's it, Jordan Thompson. That makes sense. And then if you got the card, I'm just trying to look at the wee bit objectively in that as well. Daniel Dubois against Jarrell Miller. Again, Miller, we all know his history, and Dubois is really at a crossroads. He's got to win. There's no question about it. Wilder, Parker, we've said this before about Parker. It's a tough ask, but also as well, where's Wilder at? You know, we've got to ask these questions about Wilder. He's not been seen since the Lenius fight, one round. I mean, I think he's fought, it wasn't even, I think it was one full round in how many years? 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, easily 2 years, isn't it, for me?
So, again...
He seems like he stays in the gym quite a bit, though.
Well, that as well, but you also need to factor in those 3 Fury fights. I mean, we're just questioning as well. Has those 3 Wilder fights taken out of Fury? We asked that question after the Ngannou fight. We asked same thing about Wilder after the Fury fight. He took a lot of punishment. He got stopped in 2 of those. Took a lot of punishment, as I says.
I don't think Parker's the guy to ask that question, though.
Yeah. True.
I
Looks
thought,
small, I thought.
I don't think Parker can hold the shot. I don't think
Parker's been over the course. And then here we go, Joshua against Wallen. Now, Wallen, decent fighter. We discussed it last week as well, though. Gaziev, he can be very negative. He can go in the back foot. And if he does that, I think Joshua could end up getting to him at some point. So, it's a good card. And it could deliver fireworks. There could be knockouts galore. Hopefully that's what we get. But as I say, there is at least 2 or 3 fights on that card, and that they're like, nah, I'm not interested. And there's a few opponents in other fights in the card just don't deserve a chance, aka Miller, and Demore against Hergovich is just, as I say, is just trash and that. And as I say, I've got no interest against Bivol against Arthur. I mean, what a nothing fight, absolute nothing fight. I'm not wanting to take it away from Arthur. That's a great opportunity for him, but. You go for Bivol against Beterbiev to this, you want to see him in with the best, really, at this point in his career.
Bivol's been out for over a year as well.
Exactly. You want to see him in with the top fighters at this point now. I mean, there's and the same with Beterbiev. It's just, it's the missing link of the division. It's the missing fight. This fight just needs to happen because it would just be like the one key player in the division.
In fairness to the Saudis, who are a great bunch of lads, and His Excellency Turkey. That we always thank. Shout out to His Excellency. It looks like they're just doing this like a kind of a warm up of things to come, isn't it? It's like a trailer. I bet that we see Beterbiev and Bivol on one of these Saudi cards as like a big event. I think they're going to be putting on. I don't know where the fuck I'm getting this from. It's just a hunch, but I just think we will see that down the line. They're like giving you a taster. Like you're seeing Joshua, you're seeing Wilder, you got Fury, you got Usyk. Like they're laying out the foundations for what's going to come, almost like tournament-style boxing.
Well, allegedly, as we mentioned last week, the Saudis has said, I don't know if they picked the fighters or whatever it was, or maybe they picked the key, headliners. But the way Eddie put it across, they were told X amount of weeks, get it together, get around the table, get it discussed, part of the egos, get it seen to, and here we have it. So, as Rob says, if this is a tester, it's okay, it's good, we're getting fights happening that otherwise would probably wouldn't have happened because obviously I think someone's a call for Wallen against Joshua before we'd want to see Wilder against Joshua. So if this is the precursor for potentially Joshua against Wilder and this is what we're going to go through, then I'm happy with that. And if we can get Fury Usyk top of the bill for a Wilder Joshua fight, that would be absolutely ideal.
I think, Andy, it's a precursor, but a precursor to something that nobody's seeing here. I think if Joshua gets past Wallen, which I think he will do, and Miller were to upset Dubois, I think they're going to revisit that in Easter. They'll be back in Saudi with Joshua against Yoel Miller. That's what I think they'll do.
Oh, fucking AIDS,
just come to me, man. I can just see it,
Oh, shit.
And Wilder beats Parker. They're sticking with him. Somebody else, maybe. I don't know.
I'd say if Eddie was still calling the shots in this situation, you might be right. But I'd say the Saudis are going to be like, fucking get this guy out before somebody else knocks him out. We need this fucking Wilder fight.
Well, yes,
baby.
Fair enough.
I tell you what, you could really do an upset on this card. Actually, if you had to pick an upset, which fight would you want it to be? You want to hear my one?
Go for it. Yeah.
I want to see Hergovich get beat because he's just going to end up holding up the whole fucking
Put
division.
Midori back in the mix. Let's get him in the mix.
Yeah, but he's never going to get that opportunity, man. Hergovich is only like he's just
Hergovich seems like he's holding up the heavyweight division a bit with that mandatory position, isn't it? Like nobody wants to see him fight.
They'd love that though, wouldn't they? Imagine they'd be racing to try and get Demori in next.
Yeah, I know, that's the
he
thing.
upset Hergovich. He's a threat, Cougs.
It was like 18 months ago. Remember they've been doing the list of IBF challenge for Hergovich. Not one wanted to fight. No interest. Fuck that shit. Don't want him. No chance. No fucking fighting him. There's no way. I think they got like number 14 to fight him. So it'd be ideal just to knock him off, sack him off, send him down the road. Fuck you. Thanks very much.
Don't want him to win. Or Junior Fari's another one. Get rid of him.
Did Parker beat him?
Yes. And Lucas Brown knocked him out. That's the level he's at. Yeah. I think it was last fight, wasn't it? Far, I think. Unless he might have fought since. Oh, he's fought since. He's on the winning trail, Andy. He beat Tussi Asafo, Norton 6.
Pussy who?
Pussy galore.
Galore, I was just going to say.
Tussi Asafo, Norton 7, all 7 losses by knockout. So he's
consistent. Consistency is key here, Cougs.
He lost to Conrad Lamb as well, who once weighed in at 500 pounds. Oh, and he lost in a round to David Light. Do you remember him?
Wait a minute. This junior fat also went 10 rounds with Dominic Gwynn, got a decision 98-91 on 2 cards, but also got dropped in the 4th round. Dominic Gwynn.
Oh my God. Sorry.
The Southern Disaster.
I feel like I took us off the line, Matty, here. Sorry.
Oh, it's still unfitting with the question, I suppose, you know.
Yeah. But I know I said it last week, and these guys are a great bunch of lads. But like, if they're going to start calling, like, think about it this way: Otto Volin versus Anthony Joshua, and Deontay Wilder versus Joe Parker, and fucking Daniel Dubois versus Jarrell Big Baby Miller are all on their own. Probably 2 of them could be pay-per-view if they're going by the old Sky standards in that Wilder Parker. Or headliners. They're all headline fights in their own right. And you're having like 5 or 6 headliners fighting on the same bill. That's pretty good. Like, especially if they're going to start matching them more evenly on these kind of cards going forward. That's good shit. Like, that's good, isn't it?
I agree with Rob. I'm looking forward to it. I know that the match is on paper, like, oh, so-and-so should beat him and that, but the fact is a couple of days before Christmas, Matty. Get in there. Nice post-fight pod for us as well. A decent time for the fights. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'd be all right.
Could also maybe even do the year-end. Do that on Sunday, I suppose. Christmas Eve. We did a show Christmas Eve, boys.
We'll do one for Christmas Day like we did before, I think.
Any excuse to not be around people.
Yeah, no, definitely anything to fucking just get the Mrs. Moore offside. The fucking couldn't wait to get home from work today to fucking. I thought you said Katie Taylor was going to lose that fight. I said, fucking shut up with you. The whole fucking box. He was the fucking bookie's underdog. It wasn't just me. Like, fuck off.
Oh boy. Well, there you go. Thank you for that question, there, Mr. Butters. Let's see here from Holt.
Yeah, Michael Thompson's saying that Arthur's apparently injured, by the way.
The who is?
London Arthur.
Oh.
He's had hand problems though in the past, hasn't he?
Right.
That's probably the
What's
best
happening,
thing.
Michael? Let us know in the chat then, mate. What's happening? I'm sure he said that. Arthur is injured as well, so
that's probably the best thing that could happen to him. Holt asks, boxing seems to be in the gutters at this moment. Nobody fighting each other for their ABC belts. With the Olympics fiasco, no real talent coming through. Just seems dire. Definitely paper thin. British boxing has definitely deteriorated. But I suppose it swings and roundabouts. We've had Crawford Spence, for instance. But are there any prospects of it being on the up or just ever more on the slide?
You know what it feels like?
What?
It feels like when we had that like kind of 2-month window where we had Ryan Garcia versus Tank, and we had Crawford versus Spence, and we had Loma versus Haney. It was like when they lifted the lockdown for like 6 weeks and then put you back in lockdown when you just thought shit was going to get better, and you're like, shit, I'm back out about. And you're like, sorry lads, fucking what you call it, a variant. You better get back in the fucking house. This is what it feels like.
I think that, as I've said in previous episodes, I think that the promoters are going to be forced to work together, and 2024 is going to be a banner year. Steve, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to be glass half full kind of guy now, and I think 2023 has been good, man. We've had loads of big fights, and ordinarily I do think they eventually do get made. Sometimes they're past their sell-by date, but Yeah, the boxing is dead, but it always manages to survive. Although there are a few little things which do make you sort of say, "Off let me," sort of different promoters getting involved, Showtime's deal ending, and you do you worry about these things, but it always finds a way to slip through. And as long as two young fellas want to have a fight, or two young ladies these days want to have a scrap, someone will be there to televise it. So yeah, boxing
Don't
will.
misgender them, Steve.
Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, Andy, what are you thinking? Can you, of all people, find some light at the end of the tunnel?
I was saying to Steve that today, actually, there is a. It's just. Well, Rob's right. We have had these kind of like meaningful fights, but you look at the landscape. Actually, there's not much coming through. Though I did spot one coming up in a couple of weeks' time. Maybe went under the radar a little bit. I was saying to Steve that Albert Batagazayev against Laszlo Alvarez for Cuba. Cuba against Russia for it's some IBA box. It's a decent enough fight, but we kind of touched it before in terms of like who is going to be the flagship fighter in the coming, say, like the next 5 years. Nothing really kind of popping up through the amateurs so far, at least. I mean, I don't mean to say anything can't kick through. I mean, the next Olympics is next year. We are seeing a lot of kind of like we call them pro-ams, basically, like guys like Jalalov, who's kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Gonzalez against Estrada, they're kind of like talking about a third fight, a fourth fight. We don't really need to see it. Inoue seems to have went off, not so much off the boil, but you know what I mean, in terms of like regularity having these fights, he's not really fighting as much.
He's on Boxing Day, isn't he, against Tapales, I think. Have they confirmed that? Yeah.
Fury and Usyk haven't got much time left. Once they two fight, if they have a rematch possibly, then you can see them leaving in the next couple of years. Josh Taylor's, I would say, is ready for the road out possibly. Crawford's looking for a Charlo fight, if that, maybe a Spence rematch if it's possible. I'm just trying to think, like, some other meaningful fights we've got. I mean, obviously Canelo Benavidez is the next one that we all want to see. We want to see the heavyweight fight, and Beterbiev Bivol. I think that's the three main fights I can think off the top of my head that, as boxing fans, are the most meaningful fights that can happen. But in terms of like some big stuff, I mean, Eddie will try and tell us about Eubank. Ben, shite, nobody wants to see that anymore. The mayor they try to flog that to us now, and the mayor.
That's the only thing. That's a stonewaller for the casuals, though. That's a stonewall seller for the casuals. Mate, but I think more so after the hype, I think.
Yeah, but I think the thing for me is because it's taking so long to get Ben cleared in the UK, they kind of get the fight made, right? And the longer it takes to get made, the longer the reminder is in the public mind as to why this fight hasn't happened, because he's for the drugs test. And I still think if he's not fighting by this time next year, it's clear that he's serving a 2-year ban. And it just hasn't come out publicly. And again, Ben isn't a pay-per-view star to take over in the future. Shakur Stevenson really stunk it up. So
badly.
You know what I'm saying? Loads of us were kind of thinking, okay, this could be the kid. Progress flattered to deceive. He's top big, delivered on nothing. Matthias, very interesting, very dangerous fighter. 31-year-old.
Hold on. You talk about a fight that they can make next year that's intriguing if, the best don't fight the best as far as, the ones we're recognizing in a way. Tank versus Matthias, that's a fucking fight.
That's a great fight. But we're going to get Shakur against Richardson Hitchens probably instead.
Of course, another one you want to throw out there who was supposed to take over, you know who I'm talking about, our man, Teofimo Lopez.
He's taking over the globe apparently now anyway.
Two quality wins on his record, and he's failed to capitalise on any of them.
The take a break.
He's not the sharp. We know he's not the sharpest tool in the drawer, is he? Like, but he was asked last night by somebody ringside at the Benavidez fight, what's his future plans, and why did he turn down the Ryan Garcia fight? And he was like, because he only offered me 1.5 million, and he brings all these sponsors to the table. He's like, so yeah, I turned down his offer. He's like, but it doesn't matter because I'm taking this global. It's going to be a team takeover global. He goes, I'm going to go to see my fans in Italy, and I've got a load of fans in Africa. So Tio's bigger all over the globe than you thought. He's got a few tricks up his sleeve. Don't write him off just yet.
Yeah, there you go. If you've been worried about all the coups in Africa and the warfare, Teofimo Lopez is going to be there, and he will save it all. It's part of the takeover, global peace.
Maybe they could send his dad as a diplomat.
Send him over to Sierra Leone. I'd be on fair.
MB's comment there about Bam against Sonny Edwards about being a good fight. It's an interesting one, by the way. And I think
yeah, that's a good fight, I think.
But in terms of like how good it will be, it really depends how good Rodriguez is.
I'll give him credit for that though, Andy, because it's good intentions. Even if it turns out to be a shit fight, I'll say, well, that's okay. It was a well-intentioned made fight. Like a lot of people who would criticize Showtime in the past and say, oh, this turned out to be a stinker. But on paper, it was a good fight. So if it's well-intentioned, I'll give him a pass. I'm sure they'll be pleased to hear.
That's a good one there, Holt. Some of us more positive than others. Let's see here. Michael Thompson. Not sure if this has come up recently, but who do you think are some fighters that had the longest primes? Maybe Floyd when he was Pretty Boy, or Hopkins when he had all his middleweight defenses. Yeah, I mean, definitely those two. Archie Moore, I guess you'd have to argue, considering the longevity of his career. Trying to think of some other guys that had a
lot. Get Archie Moore on DAZN.
Hagler.
Pacquiao, you got to throw him in there.
Pacquiao. Hagler was fighting at a very high level for a while. Yep.
Duran, Chavez.
You don't know about prime though. The likes of Hopkins were just sort of fiddling their way through for years. I wouldn't say it was his prime.
Well, I would say who like when you're talking about like there's not much deviation from A to a long B.
Fair enough.
Hagler's a good example. Because he had what was this 19 defenses or something?
Yeah, very consistent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Fighters primes can be flash in the pan. Like, I would say Parnell Whitaker was at the top
for about a decade.
For a very long time. Yeah.
Trinidad from welterweight all the way up through light middleweight. He had a lot of defenses and a lot of good fights, and then obviously got picked off by B-Hop. But during his prime, he
had about a decade. He had about a decade, almost a decade. That's the thing.
What about Roy
Canelo's had a good prime. In fairness to him, maybe aided and abetted Roy as well, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, he had about 12 years as a reigning titleist at one weight or another, didn't he?
When it went 54 to 75. Mike McCallum, what a fighter, man! What a fighter! Oh my God.
I think heavyweights.
Those fights were totally, by the way, for the listeners. For the younger listeners, you want to go back and watch some fucking Science and Violence, go watch McCallum Tony. Couple of fights, fucking high level shit.
Go watch McCallum against Callamby as well. I think don't fight.
Sumbo Callamby, yeah.
Yeah,
that was a great. Actually, do you know what? Michael Watson gave him a good fight up to a point.
Yeah, I was just going to say that as well. That was it was just the body shots killed him in the end.
I think I'm right in saying the 3 fights against James Toney were at 3 different weights, weren't they?
I think James had 3 different weights during each fight.
What about Marquez?
Yeah.
Well, he had a strange prime, didn't he? Like, because Marquez struggled coming up to 47 badly against Floyd the first time, and then came back, and his back looked like the fucking gable end of my shed with all fucking acne marks over it and all that.
I must admit though,
and he knocked out the guy with lats like Bruce Lee, huh?
Yeah.
I must admit though, right? See, 2 things about Marquez. He came back well after the Chris John defeat, right? And he changed up his style a wee bit as well. See that Pacquiao knockout, right? A video appeared the day after him and sparring for that fight, and he knocked out a sparring partner with the identical fucking punch, mate. Identical shot. He fucking did. I wish I could fucking keep it.
Oh, he timed him perfectly, but I think
fucking timed it.
Do you know what? Apart from the timing, was the biggest factor in that. Is that the two of them had taken so much juice that after fucking 4 fights in the ring together, that Marquez's back was so fucking big and Pacquiao's head was so big he couldn't miss it. He had timed that shot loads of times and just missed him in the other fights. Like the HGH target fucking damn. Oh, that was a brutal knockout though. I thought Pacquiao was dead. Thought he was dead when I saw that.
See Marquez at 135, man. He was surgical. Like, he was surgical. See that Casimir fight? He sliced this.
He's a brilliant fighter. He's a fucking brilliant fighter. Brilliant fighter. I actually have one of my mates got me a signed photo of him and Pacquiao. I have it somewhere. I don't know where the fuck it is, but I have it anyway.
Yeah, good question there, Mr. Thompson.
There's going to be a blatant fucking one that we've missed there, like, isn't there? Like, there's going to be a really like Joe Lewis. Joe Lewis probably had the best prime, didn't he? Like, think about it.
Probably, aye. Most heavyweight defences.
Bum of the month club.
Well, yeah, he got screwed by World
Foreman,
War II.
Klitschko, you could throw Klitschko in there. He had a
Yeah.
lengthy
Yes, very long prime.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Bob Foster, a light heavyweight, who was a champion. He had some amount of defences. And I'm going to throw in Alexis Arguello. I think when he was a 3-weight world champion, I forget how many defences he made or how many fights he had at these 3 weights as champion, but he never lost a fight and he never lost a title on the ring.
Chavez as well, obviously.
Chavez,
we say him already.
There you go. That was the one you were looking. If we didn't hit him, that was the one you're looking for. All right, got one from Joe Kennedy here. Mike Silver in the Arc of Boxing argues that fighters of today are less skilled, less experienced, and less crafty than the fighters of before, primarily due to lack of ring activity and the dying out of classic boxing trainers and the knowledge they hold. After seeing Tyson Fury labor to a points win over a debutante, would the panel be inclined to agree? Would Jersey Joe Walcott or Archie Moore, etc., have had an issue dealing with Ngannou, or would the difference in skill, craft, and experience be too great? That's a good question there.
It's too. I tell you what, it's too difficult a question to answer because the size of the biggest men in the world were a lot smaller than the biggest men in the world today. Like fucking Rocky Marciano's 13 stone, knocking out Jersey Joe Walcott by today's standards. They'd be fucking cruiserweights at best, light heavyweights. Like it's not. You can't compare. Like you have to kind of fucking imagine them as fucking 6'4" versions of themselves. I don't know. Like it's fucking. I think those fighters would be in the argument about against anybody their own weight in history. Like Jersey Joe Walcott and Archie Moore had beautiful styles to watch. Like if you fucking, I sound like an old head now, like or whatever, talking about fucking fighters from back in the day when the footage was bad, but you can tell even from the footage that they were fucking tremendous fighters. Like Ezra Charles, another one, like, but another light guy, like 11 stone 6 or something, fighting for the heavyweight title. So I don't know, like I don't know.
Well, what kills you with trying to judge some of those old fighters and how skilled they were is the camera capture speeds just weren't necessarily enough to catch the nuance of their movements. It's kind of like Bruce Lee had to slow down his kicks just for them to be able to capture them properly. And you're talking, I mean, Enter the Dragon was 1973. So I mean, it shows you it's so tough to judge based on video footage.
You're straight out of a comic book, Matty.
I always feel like as if obviously you don't
Did
really
you get that
know.
reference to these?
I
didn't.
Shout out to Williams.
I didn't.
Mr. Hanman. You always feel like the older guys, the Robinsons and that, as if they were better conditioned. We're not saying they necessarily were, but you always think they are. Like, you know, the 15 rounders, hacking down trees, picking up tires, and they were fighting every week, 20 rounds back in the old, you know, that you feel like they were better conditioned.
I think it's not hard to see from even the footage available of Robinson that he would have fucking dealt on anyone around his weight when he's like 38, 35, 36 years of age with the footage that you're seeing, like, and even the footage of him like skipping. You ever see the footage of him skipping and shit? Like, and if you give him the benefit of today's juice and nutrition, you would have had to think he would have fucking, and his IQ and stuff, like the way he was fucking, the way he used to set up knockouts, he was light years ahead of his time.
Cutting weight, man. Cutting weight, just didn't eat and didn't drink water. Fucking just sat and sweated out, man. It was fucking stupid.
Sugaroid Robinson.
You don't know. You don't know if some of the guys as well were just anomalies or whether it's a product of the time, Andy. But like Salvador Sanchez, man, I mean, he legitimately got stronger as 15-round fights went on. Man, his stamina was just insane. I remember Breadman Edwards. Me and you done a Punches from the Past on that, and Breadman was saying like he's probably the most well-conditioned fighter he's ever seen.
Yeah, he was just one of the phenomenal talents, mate. Just one of the, genuine when you say like he just got stronger as the fight went on. His conditioning was absolutely phenomenal. I think also as well he was maybe helped with the fact that where he was born or where he stayed and grew up, and that it was quite high altitude.
High altitude,
yeah. So it really kind of benefited him as well when he came into sea level.
You have to think as well, like the time has an influence on the mentality and the fighters. Like you're going back in times, like Steve said, tough times. Like all the immigrant stories of the fighters in America that came to America, like the Italian fighters, the Jewish fighters, the Irish fighters, like the climate in which they're fighting in and becoming fighters in. Henry Armstrong, these kind of guys, like from Cherokee Indian backgrounds and slave background, like the shit they're having to overcome compared to these fighters. Like you can't imagine I can't imagine one fighter today, maybe Crawford, to have the same kind of killer instinct as Marvin Hagler, where he wouldn't even fucking talk to the sparring partners. You ever heard those stories?
Mm-hmm.
Hagler wouldn't talk to sparring partners because he didn't want to get friendly with him, because he always wanted to maintain a fucking killer edge in the ring. Like, that's shit that you're born with, I think, rather than, or you get it from somewhere, like, rather than, I think it's more rare that in today's era, like, fella, it's hard to have that fucking, you don't want to talk to your sparring partner when you're like mates with them on TikTok and that, like, you know, it's fucking,
folk have 10
different.
fights and think they're the best in the world, man. Let's
Yeah.
have it. Fucking hell, you had like guys like, you know, you mentioned Hagler having to go to court trying to get fucking title fights because he was getting swerved because he was black, a southpaw, and too fucking good for anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like Matty says as well, Andy, about these Mexicans who come over to beat Eddie's prospects all the time. You know, they're cut from a different cloth, man. They're getting battered in sparring. They're fighting literally to eat a lot of the time. It's a different mentality.
Yeah, and they didn't have any of the cushy amateur upbringing like they did in Team GB, where they've got their kind of fancy flats. Now these poor bastards are fucking in sweat boxes, day in, day out, month in, month out, and trying to just get the scraps off the tables, hoping for an opportunity, hoping for a phone call, and then when it comes, they've got to fucking take it. And you know, as they say, this is what we keep saying about these Mexicans. Sometimes you just don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes and you got to respect them at all times, because sometimes they're just a bit more hungrier than you, but you come for your padded lifestyle, you know.
Hey, when was the last time a fighter just put on some combat boots and went to the beach? You know what I mean, some of it's a choice, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think going back to Joe's
these
original
days
question,
they put on combat boots, but they take a fucking picture on Instagram with a fucking caption under it, and their head looking down and that, like,
hashtag combat boots.
Forever get to my dreams, drilled mindset or something. You know what I mean? Fucking some bullshit like that.
You know, Steve mentioned Salvador Sanchez. I forget the actual, you know, the amount of defenses again, but was it something, Steve, like 7-8 defenses in the first 18 months as champion?
Yeah.
I mean, that's unheard of these days.
Exactly.
I mean,
Against top fighters.
Aye, against the top fighters and that as well.
Yeah. But Mike Silver's a good writer. Going back to Joe's original question, Matty, he's a Jewish writer. He does a lot of things on the old Jewish fighters and stuff. And I suppose you got Pete Rademacher, hasn't it, back in the day, fighting on his debut, coming in. And you know, there are things in history where this has happened in the past.
There you go. That was another good question. Thank you very much, Joe Kennedy. Now we can get to. I really wanted to touch on this for Beep Bop Boop. Didn't want to not do him right for super chats, but we did have the announcement for Fury versus Usyk going to be happening in February. Definitely a diminished Tyson Fury after what we saw against Ngannou, and the odds just keep tightening away from being in favor of Tyson Fury and towards even. I don't know, Andy. This is you know, it's the thing is, the one thing that Ngannou has that Usyk doesn't have is size, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a big guy, and Fury in the clinch didn't matter to him. So I still hesitate to get away from my initial thoughts on this fight of a good big man beating a good little man. Your thoughts?
Yeah, as I say, I think most of us would probably say that Fury would win the fight, but again, it does, you know, it's all adage, you're only as good as your last fight. Both have had their moments of vulnerability. They haven't looked good in the last fight, shall we say? But I think Usyk called it. I think Usyk said it right in that as well. I don't think Fury approaches the fight against Usyk in the manner in what he did against Ngannou. I don't really believe that Fury was in fully top fighting shape. He probably trained. Well, I'm not questioning that, but whether he trained properly is another matter. And that, I mean, the fucking amount of people who had hanging around about him as well during that was quite incredible. Usually seems to go about his business quite quietly. I suspect he'll be ready in that as well. But I still maintain. I just think with Usyk's movement, his legs, I think he does cause Fury a load of issues. Whether he can find the moments to actually tag Fury, pass his long reach, and deal with the clinches, and that is going to be where he's going to have to. Oh, he's strong enough in that. I suspect he'll have his moments where he's going to dig in that as well, but grapple with Fury. And I suspect Fury will try and get dirty in that as well. You know, we saw him throwing the elbows against Ngannou. We saw him kind of get dirty with Cunningham on the inside and that as well when he was struggling a little bit. So, it's a fight at the end of the day, and Usyk's got to be wary of that. And I dare say after Fury's watched the Usyk against the Dubois fight, I would imagine that he's going to try and drop a few, maybe, borderline shots, I would say, to see how much Usyk's wanting to kind of take it round about the body.
Andy, just on that, sorry to interrupt you, but I forgot to mention this earlier. You know about the second round of Andrade Benavidez last night? They didn't show a replay, but I went back and watched it again. Andrade got caught with a very similar shot, to what Usyk did against Dubois on the belt line. And he was trying to take, do you remember? He was trying to take a load of shots, and the referee wasn't really buying it, I don't think, but it was very similar, actually.
And then the referee kind of then said, "Oh, wait, okay, wait a minute," and that thing. I just think that with this type of fight, I think the referee would buy it, to be fair. But look, it's an interesting one. I don't think I think Fury could win, but I don't think it's clear cut as what some might make it out to be. Saying that I've been totally wrong in the past now, so just don't listen to me. But I just think I keep harping back to the Cunningham fight. I just think with the movement, Fury's admitted himself he has struggled with the guy with his movement, size of him. He was very, very slippery. Usyk has and he can be quite ferocious when he has to be. And the suspect of Fury talking all the trash now, I think Usyk might go for it a little bit. Well, it's an interesting one. I'm going with Fury, but I want to see Usyk win at the same time. But we'll hold fire on the predictions till a later date.
Yes, we can do that. Let's see here. Going to the press conference, I didn't see much of it. Steve, I don't know.
The usual shite though, wasn't it?
I don't know, Steve, if you got any of it, but Fury's attire took me back to an old Robin Williams line saying, dressed in a way that would even make a blind gay man go, "Dear Christ, what do you think this is? Carnival?" So the Gypsy King, loud as ever in more ways than one. But you can't take anything from it. That's just who he is. This is I didn't really, for the little bits I catch, I didn't catch much different from Tyson Fury. Maybe a little bit humbled.
No, I didn't really catch too much, to be honest. Just clips on social media. But as someone who was attending the Fury press conferences back in the day, his shtick and his sort of put down lines haven't changed in the guts of 14, 15 years since he turned pro. And it is getting a bit tired and a bit boring now. It's not so much off the cuff, and he was a bit of a comedian and a singer back in the day, but he's just become a bit repetitive for me, I think. And let's just get this fight out the way. I think it'd be better for boxing if Usyk won the fight. Just from a personal point of view, because Fury's been doing my head in, but if he goes out there, beats him, dominates him, or wins in any form, you have to give him his props, man, as the best fighter of the generation. Let's just get it made. The fact that Eddie and Frank have sat down at a table together to put on this day of reckoning gives me hope that things can be made after Usyk Fury as well. But everything's falling into place as usual. Strong 2024. Let's get a good, wholesome decision so we know who the winner is and who the best man in the heavyweight division is. And we can just draw that line under the era. We don't want another Lewis Bowe situation, so let's just hope it happens again. You never know with these characters until they're in the ring as to whether they will actually fight each other. But yeah, I'm leaning to Fury still at the moment. I think the Ngannou thing was an anomaly. We've been through that before about him taking him lightly and all, but just the size, really. I think skill for skill, toughness for toughness. They're both happy to go in there and slug it out and do a bit of shithousing if necessary. I just think the size and the flexibility and durability down the stretch of Fury, especially with landing those body shots and leaning on Usyk, still stands. And I think that'll just be the edge for him. But would I be surprised if Usyk won? Absolutely not. And I probably would hope he would win out the two. But I think you can't look past Fury. And let's get them in the ring and we'll take it from there.
Yep, and hopefully it does happen. Rob, go to you last on this. Do you appreciate the theatrics as part of just being entertainment, or are you just is this just kind of gotten old for you and you're ready for in the ring, get this shit out of the way? I want nothing more until the bell goes ding.
I've been a massive fan of Tyson Fury for his whole career. I was one of the few that predicted that he beat Klitschko. I rooted for him. I thought he'd never get back to the ring. I never sung his praises highly enough for the performance he put in the first Wilder fight to climb up off the deck. Second one was even better with Sugar Hill. That was the best version of him, I think. that second night against Wilder. And the best version of Tyson Fury beats the best version of Alexander Usyk at heavyweight for me. But I don't know if you're going to get the best version of Tyson Fury. I think the entourage is too big. I think there's too much going on in the background. This Netflix documentary, his books, his fucking charity singles. And he's able to do all that shit out of canter and beat Derek Chisora like a heavy bag and flatten Dillian White. I think he gets too much pelters for the Dillian White fight. He was mandated, like Dillian White went to court over that. Like they were supposed to, that just held up the Joshua fight, didn't it? Like fucking, or he had that maybe in between the second Wilder fight or the third Wilder fight, was it? But whatever way it happened, Dillian White fucking was mandated by the WBC and he was going to sue them, so he had to get his shot. Then Wilder took the fucking, nobody wanted to see the third Wilder fight, but Wilder went to court to get that one. Like, so it's not all Tyson Fury's fault for the state of the heavyweight division. However, just to go back to the talking, I'm a fan of that when you're backing it up, but when the fights are not happening, it just becomes tired. Like, and when it's all off the back of like, it seemed like all those conversations that we're having, like you better sign the deadline before 5. We didn't know what the fuck was happening, and meantime, he's on a Netflix documentary, and it's just content for that. Like, you know what I mean? And that's the highest selling show on Netflix. It's going to be renewed, obviously, for a second season. So there's a lot of other factors at stake. So to say all that, to say this, I think Usyk's in a better position mentally. I think, look, I don't want to you're in a position these days at high level athletics across the board, across every discipline, that there's suspicions around all the high performing athletes. But I have my own suspicions around Usyk and the size of him and his inactivity and his taking time, him dictating when he takes time off, and they're saying he's injured and this, that, and the third. So look, I don't know what that means and everything, but I know Fury and that were making kind of allegations in the background about something with Usyk. Now, look, obviously none of that's going to come out the fight sign now or whatever. Like, I'm not saying that there's anything amiss. I just have my own kind of thoughts on the situation with Usyk. I think he's a brilliant fighter. I think he can pose Fury problems with his elusiveness. I think he can slip a lot of shots. I think he can make him miss a lot of time. But I think ultimately, a big fit version of Fury should be able to either stink out the joint or stop Usyk late, maybe to the body. Like, I just think he's too fucking big for him. Like, and I saw like times when Derek Chisora imposed his size on Usyk, although like he was never in danger of losing the fight, looked extremely uncomfortable. When Joshua was able to put him on the back foot a couple of times, he had him gone and he didn't know how to finish because he's a big ham. I think if Fury got him in a similar position, he might at least drop him or get him out of there. I think Dubois had him hurt. Whether you think it's a low blow or not, I thought it was borderline. Like I thought it was borderline that night. Like, and he was using his experience a little bit. Not saying that would have stopped the fight, but I think it's a different proposition if you're in against Fury. And I just think Fury edges it. I just think Fury's just going to be too much for him. And I've always said that, so I'll stick to it. I can't see, like, what's the method of victory for Usyk? Is he not knocking him out? Like, so he drops him a couple of times and wins on points. That's feasible, I guess. Can he win 8 rounds out of 12? Yeah, maybe. Like, maybe it's going to be a horrible fight if that happens like that. Like, but Usyk won't care. I think he'll have to use a lot of lateral movement, a lot of tying up. But that's going to take so much out of him. I just can't. I don't know. I just can't see a way that Usyk beats Fury. Like, I'm going to say Fury. Sorry, I'm going the long way, but I'm just going to say Fury.
Yeah, Fury late is my hunch. But we'll get more into that as we get along. And hope you catch that there, Mr. Beep Bop Boop, from your super chat last week. Let's see here, and let's get into the cards coming up. There's a small handful of them. Gonna have a Pro Box card Wednesday night from the States, Thursday morning for you guys when you wake up. A couple of fights on there that look okay. Let's see here. Only really the top 2 kind of catching my eye. Undefeated Marquez Valle, 9-0, taking on Farid Ngoga. He's from Congo, 10-0. And then going to have Orlando Gonzalez, 21-2-0 against Jorge Castaneda, 16-2. That's going to be a 130-pound bout. Looking forward to that one per usual. Then going to have on Friday, your call, Let me know if what you think of this one there, Mr. Wellings. Gonna have this on BT Sport for you fine folks. Headlined by Gavin Gwynn taking on Emiliano Marsili, undefeated Emiliano Marsili, 42-0. God knows how old he might be.
47.
Fuck me.
47.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of his
Remember he
fights,
beat
by the way.
Dave Matthews years
Yeah.
ago?
Fuck, I remember that. It's about 2011, 2010 possibly.
Get him his shot, man. When's he going to get his shot for the world
Fucking
title?
hell, man. He's been hanging about like Fraser Grendel looking for his shot. Fucking hell.
Most avoided fighter in boxing. Let's see
Absolutely.
here. Gonna have Brad Strand taking on Joshua John. That one looks all right as well. Decent women's fight looking on here. Raven Chapman 7-0 against Lucy Sedlakova 15-1-1. Also Sam Noakes on there against Carlos Perez. What are your thoughts on this one, Mr. Wellings?
Yep, decent card, main event. Marsili, as we said, he's getting on a bit now. This is his big chance, vacant European title. He's won the European title before, never really pushed onto that world scene. Undefeated, though, but I think he's going to be defeated in this one. Gwyn has really improved, been signed by Frank, seen him beat some good names in the past, actually. I think let me see on his record here. Yeah, Craig Woodruff was the last one. He fought James Tennyson at one point, actually. Sean McComb, that was his big breakout win. He lost to Tennyson, got knocked out. And then he beat Sean McComb, body shots all day there. He's a good, solid fighter. Shout out to friend of the pod, Sonny Davis, who's interviewed him. Actually, it's up on his YouTube channel. I think he'll beat Marsili. As for the rest of them, Sam Noakes. I used to know a fella many years ago who really rated Sam Noakes when he first turned pro. Said he was going to go to the top. He was this, he was that. He's 11-0 now. He's stumbling along. WBC International Silver title, so he might still make it. Sonny Ali. No pressure on him. Moses Atorma's on it as well. And Royston Barney Smith. I love that name. He's a good fighter. He puts his shots together well. Decent as Friday night fair. I think it was supposed to be on Saturday originally, but they moved it because it was clashing. But I don't know whether that was true. But Gwyn's a good fighter. Glad he's got picked up. He should beat Marsili.
Yeah, he's fought a handful of fighters. You just kind of know offhand. What a long, bizarre career he has had. Good God.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you just peppered in against all these, nobodies. Like went from fighting an 0-2 person to having a draw against a 12-0, fighting somebody who was 5-11. Yeah, that's 3 fights in a row there. What a bizarre career. Anyhow, so we got that going on for y'all on Friday night. Let's see here. Also on Friday. I'm not too impressed with the matchmaking on this one. There's a couple that are okay on here. The main event, not too bad here. I know you'll be looking forward to this one and following this young man coming out. Gonna have Jalil Major Hackett taking on Adrian Gutierrez, 12-1-1. And then also gonna have Daniel Bailey, 11-1, taking on Malik Warren. And that's probably about the extent of
Giovanni Marquez is decent as well on the undercard. Actually, he's a good fighter.
Yeah, just don't know if that one's necessarily going to be a competitive bout, but those first 2 ones might be kind of interesting to see the steps. So that's going to be on DAZN.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked that up. Hackett's going to the top. I think he's going to be class, man. He could be another Wellington bust like what do you call him, Broner? But I think Hackett looks class from what I've seen of him so far.
Gutierrez by knockout, everyone.
Gamble responsibly.
Oh, dear. So that's going to be Friday night, DAZN. Y'all can catch that if you're bored Saturday waking up. And then Saturday, Andy, in Germany, revenge is a dish best served cold. And that's what Sucru Alte is looking for, getting another crack at, got to be 45-year-old Felix Sturm. You going to try to find a way to check out this one?
I'll have a look, mate, and I'll let you know. It's never a chance it'll be a pay-per-view. Just to let you know, Sturm's 44 and his opponent is 47, I think he is. Am I saying to you? 39, sorry. 39. So
spring chickens compared to Arslan.
Yeah, but just to let you know, it was a complete and utter farce. I didn't see the first fight, obviously, but I do follow a few people on Twitter and that who do report on it and did state that it was a disgrace. One of the scorecards, I mean, just to let you know, one of the scorecards was 96-94. Well, the other card was 99-91. So all in favour of Sturm as well, actually. So obviously this fight's getting made. There's a wee bit of kind of, not so much, well, when they say there was a lot of fucking dispute about it at the end of the day, but he somehow decided to have a rematch, so fair play to him. So I'm not been watching it, to be fair, mate. I haven't looked through the rest of the list for next Saturday. There's not really much on it, to be fair. I see you Conlon on there against Jordan Gill.
We're getting to that. You don't need to jump
Right,
ahead.
okay, well, you can jump ahead down. You go, mate. But there's nothing on that. There is 0 on that card. Just want to see here if there's any upcoming German fighters that I've maybe seen before. Nada. So, well, Sturm's promoting this card. So we can who's winning this fight, no problem. Don't worry about that.
Damn,
Paid for.
Could be some fuckery afoot.
She's on DAZN in Germany, actually, so there's probably not going to be a link for this one, I don't think.
Yeah, you never know. I'll see if I can watch that one, and also a DAZN for me or you. I don't know what's going on. As you said, Andy, Mick Conlon going in against Jordan Gill, Tyrone McKenna going again against Lewis Crocker. Then we have Keoman Agyarko. Am I saying that right, Steve? Going in Keeman? How?
Kevin. He has a Gaelic.
When you go, Rob, I'll let you take this from me.
He has an Irish Gaelic first name and an African second name, so setting you up for failure there, Matty.
And as you know, there's a lot of Africans that run about Ireland these days as well, Matty.
Setting that guy up to get his ass kicked all throughout life. That's why he's 13-0. Taking on Troy Williams.
Black Irish, mate. Black Irish.
Yeah, in a different manner altogether. Taking on Troy Williamson, who recently lost to Josh Kelly. This one is just about even in the books. And also Sean McComb taking on Sam Maxwell. Andy, I don't know a lot about a lot of these fighters, but just looking at it on the records alone, it could be a night of some competitive action.
Yeah, I think Sean McComb against Maxwell might be decent. You know, McComb's not really kind of known as a big puncher, but you know, Maxwell's also been on the end of a couple of heavy, not so much defeat. Well, he got beat off Dalton Smith and that, but he has been in a few heavy fights in that as well. So, be interested to see if maybe McComb can get the stoppage. The one thing about the Conlon Gill fight, I maybe want to bring Steve in as well here, but and maybe even Rob. But I think this is about as safe as well to take it at this point as well, because Gill's not really known as a puncher. Conlon really needs that kind of like comeback as well if he's really want to push for it again, and that. So it's probably the kind of safe-ish fight as well. That kind of got me all sign over back to Eddie and headline a show back in Belfast. So I think it's a probably safe opponent from. You guys agree?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I think my fear for Mick Conlon is I'm a big fan of Mick. Obviously, I think it has to be said he's one of Ireland's best ever amateur fighters. Like won a world gold medal in the amateur championships, and the pro ranks are different, obviously. But he had certainly a path to glory set up for him. He had a top ranked deal. Floated about with a couple of trainers. He was over in America, then he came back here to the UK. He was with Boxercise Booth, who I have me doubts about. Honestly, the Dark Lord, I always have me doubts about him. But anyway, capable fighter. And we talk about margins, like he dropped Lee Wood in the first fight very late in the round, heavily. If he'd have dropped him maybe 10 seconds earlier, he might have stopped him in the first round and he'd be world champion. But I think, Wood, it's all, we can all remember what happened later on in the Wood fight. And I think when you lose by knockout like that, take something out of you. Like he went out through the fucking ring, hit his head on the way down. And I know he said the last night out was just a bad night at the office, but again, when he got clipped, it looked like a fucking buzzsaw hit him, like, and he was out of it, like. And my fear for him is that now, no matter how far ahead he is in a fight, if he's up against a puncher, that could happen to him. So there's money to be made for him. He wants to obviously continue his career. He wants to get back. He has a desire and a will to become a world champion, which you kind of have to admire, but I don't know. I think, yeah, you're right. I think this is a safe opponent. He obviously draws a crowd in Belfast. Belfast is a big fight city, no pun intended. Rawls produces a lot of fighters per capita from the size of the city and everything. They've got a lot of pro fighters there, like a lot of them on the card. And it'll be a big night no matter what. But yeah, I think you're right. Like he needs an opponent. He needs a night out. Who's he with now, by the way? Who's he going to train with?
Pedro Diaz, a Cuban.
Oh, that's right, the Cuban. Yeah, so well, you'd imagine they're going to adopt a more defensive style or a more soundly defensive style with Pedro. So I'd say this is probably like a drill. Big night again, big payday. Sign up with Eddie, like you said, a warm-up, Andy, for a potential bigger fight. They're going to maneuver him into a world title. My fear for him is that there's too many punches around. but hopefully he gets over the line with it at some stage.
All right. Well, and Steve, why don't you tell me where you're going to be on Saturday night?
Yeah, I will be at this card on Saturday night, so I'm looking forward to it. It's usually a good atmosphere. As Andy said, Gill's not a puncher. I agree with everything Rob says there, really. This is third time lucky. It's got to be last chance saloon. I think minimum world titles for Mick whenever he turned pro. It hasn't quite panned out that way. Very fine margins. I was there when he lost to Lopez. Lopez just punched too hard and he fought the wrong fight, Conlon. He's got rid of Booth and the crowd and he's gone with Diaz. This will be the interim fights between Wood and Lopez. He fought Mariaga, Guerfi, might have been another one. I can't remember. I went to at least two of them. And he got his confidence back, got back in line for a shot. It'd be the same again. Just try and maneuver him in. Eddie's coming now with Conlon boxing. As for the undercard, Ajako Williamson's a good fight. Step up for Ajako. He's quite safety first. He has got skills, but he needs to show it. Williamson's a come forward guy who can be outboxed. So he's going to put it on Ajako. So that should be decent. Macomb, Maxwell, would expect Macomb to win that one. Gerard Hughes, Farrell, little domestic super bantamweight fight should be decent. Fergus Quinn always comes to fight. McKenna Crocker's a good one. Good local scrap. McKenna's a tough guy. Not really a puncher, but he's got a good engine, good work rate, knows how to win at this level. And Crocker was really, he's 17-0 now. He's signed with Billy Nelson, knuckled down. He's been through a few trainers. He was one of the sort of hot prospects of like Belfast, Northern Ireland kind of boxing. Big left hook, big banger. Hasn't panned out for him yet, so this is an important fight for him. If he can beat McKenna on home turf, he'd be well supported in the Odyssey. Then it'd be a big win for him. But if he doesn't manage to land the big shots and he ends up losing a few rounds and he starts chasing, McKenna could get into a good rhythm and give him a lot of trouble there. So there's good domestic fare, really, Matty, that maybe other people wouldn't be that interested in. But Conlon has to win in the main event, man. There's just no excuses whatsoever. It can't be close. He has to do the business, and I think he will.
I just don't like 130 pounds for him. I didn't like 126 pounds for him.
Well, I mean, they just keep changing things, I suppose. Trainers, weight, anything they can just to try and convince themselves that next time will be better. But he has a safe opponent, like Andy said, so he has to get past Gill and then move on to bigger things. But some big fish, man, some big punches.
All right. Well, looking forward to that one. That is going to be on Saturday evening from Belfast afternoon U.S. time. Let's see here. And finally, we're going to Texas. The Zone has fucking everything this weekend. That fucking sucks. But anyhow, interesting little card here, headlined by Ryan Garcia against Oscar Duarte, who can really punch. O'Hara Davies getting his chance at the interim super lightweight title while they wait for the injured Rolly Romero taking on Ismael Barroso. Let's see if the Amazonian shrunken head can pull it off this time. And then the card just kind of gets a little from there. Shane Mosley Jr. taking on Joshua Conley, 17-5-1. Floyd Schofield taking on Ricardo Lopez Torres, 17-7-3. And then, just like I said, just kind of goes a little bit downhill there. But Andy, the top two fights on that card, decent enough fare, and I do expect them to be reasonably entertaining fights.
What about the Garcia against Duarte fight? What weight is that at?
It says 135 here. Let's see.
Schofield's coming to the ring with Gordon to go for Eddie.
Coming to the ring with a tag on his leg. I think it's lightweight, that one.
Really? Because I just obviously he was crying about the weight after the Garcia fight, because that fight was at 135 as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Duarte is a lightweight, I think, isn't he? He's fought most of his career at lightweight, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe a catchphrase or something.
Duarte being like, obviously he is a bigger hitter at 135, but I noticed there's no weight actually listed on BoxRec for it. I just wonder as well if it's up at 140. Never seen Duarte up that high. Is it advantage Garcia really, because he is quite long, he is quite tall enough for the weight.
He'd be too fast for Duarte. Duarte's slow, I think. Sorry.
Yeah. Duarte has a half-inch height advantage.
He crouches down there, doesn't he, Matty? He leans forward into like a hunch.
He does, yeah. He looks to kind of crank those hooks over the top when you miss.
Garcia would be too fast for him, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. But I just don't know. You just don't know with Garcia in terms of confidence and that as well. Is he going to be safety first? Is he worrying about the power of Duarte? Don't know. You know, it's just maybe it might just take one punch in that as well. He kind of like really change his mindset and might just decide to run for the rest of the fight and just try and box and move. But it's a difficult one actually because obviously he is coming off a loss. It was a pretty heavy loss in that as well. So yeah, I expect him to win still. How he goes about it though is another matter, to be fair. But I still suspect, in terms of the weight, I think it will be up at a higher weight. I don't think it will be at 135, unless somebody else can come up with some info about that one. I'm just searching for it just now, actually, as well.
They're from a fighting family, the Duartes. There's seven of them altogether, and I think Dillian White is going to sign them to his promotional company. It's going to be Dillian White and the Seven Duartes.
Bit of a setup there, but I like it.
I wonder where he's going with that one.
It says here on
Box. What the fuck is wrong with me?
It says here on Box Rec lightweight for me, Andy. So,
yeah, Duarte's a bit like a Poundland Williams Zapata, isn't he? He'll motor forward, but he can't cut the ring off very well.
That's at 140, boys.
Brilliant.
It's at 140, Matty.
All right. There you
That's
are.
the fucking worst insult you could probably get. Like, imagine giving that insult to a fighter. You're a Poundland Williams Zapata. You'd be like, what?
I don't know that the weight's going to impact this too much, but I don't know, Steve. I think this is a pretty entertaining main event, and Barroso proved he can still fucking throw. So I don't think Davies is out of the woods here.
Yeah, no, I think that might be strangely competitive, actually, Davis against Barroso, because Barroso can punch, even though he's
That'll
about
be a
100
right
years
entertaining
age.
fight, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Because whatever, right? Well, Howard Davis was trash in the early days, like, and he had a big punch or whatever, but he had fuck all else. But he has improved slightly over the last couple of years, like, and he can dig, like, it'd be a bit of a shootout, I'd say, because Barroso will come put pressure on. It'd be a good, entertaining scrap, that, like.
Yeah, he's awkward, Davis, and he has those really long arms, a good jab and all.
And he has two noses as well, so it has advantages. Other fighters don't.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think Davis will win, but it'd be fun, Matty. And Duarte, he needs you to stand in front of him to land the body shots and the uppercuts. Like, he will let the shots go if he's standing there. Ryan Garcia is not going to be standing there, is he? So, I think it'd be 12 rounds. I think it'd be boring, actually, Garcia. I think he outbox him.
Davies wins and sets up him versus Raleigh, doesn't it?
Yeah,
that's the fucking fight we want to see.
Shit talk, that is, isn't it, man?
Yeah, fucking hell.
Battle of the brain cells.
Yeah, that's the fight that nobody knew that they wanted to see. Anyhow, I do think this the top two fights on this card will be entertaining. The rest of it, I reckon I could kind of take it or leave it. You never know. There might be something in there. Something usually sneaks up on us. But it looks like we'll have a pretty full Friday through Saturday there. Depending on what your VPN or your willingness to spend money will support. So, looks like it's not always great fare, but there's plenty of fare, and we can't complain about that. So, with that, I guess, Steve, it's time for the Belly of the Week.
Yep, that'll do. Lovely episode 550, Belly of the Week. Matty's here, Andy's here, Rob's here. Alongside me, Steve. I can't quite remember what this video that's going to play us in is actually talking about, but someone sent it to me in the Nuthouse chat, and I have renamed it as Eddie Lies. So I guess we'll find out here what Eddie exactly wasn't quite telling me.
Eddie?
I know, yeah.
Must be Eddie the Eagle Edwards or something. It's not going to be Eddie Hearn. Who the fuck is this?
Let's find out.
What a bag of shite.
Bigger than Ali Fraser won. Taylor versus Serrano. Bigger than Ali Fraser won. Fuck off, man. Jesus Christ. At least he's fucking talking that shit for Taylor. 7-figure Taylor back in the house. Eddie, what's our gas?
I remember Edwin Rosario fought Camacho there, by the way. Fucking Camacho seen the dark side of the moon. He's like, I ain't fighting like this again, baby. He totally changed his style after that fucking fight, man. He was seeing the dark side of the moon.
Where's he got that 7-figure from? Evening Ed. Where have you got that from?
I'm guessing that had to be either her payday or the ticket sales. I was thinking that through, and I'm like, that's what he has to.
That was a rhetorical question, asshole. Get on to the fucking next fight.
Can you imagine? Is Eddie Hearn so well known that Joe Public stops him in New York fucking City? Here, posh boy. That fucking fight between Taylor and Serrano was some fucking fight, mate. Thanks a lot for putting that on, Eddie boy. You're the savior of fucking boxing, women's boxing in New York City, baby.
Well, a body language expert would say he was blinking a lot and shaking his head no a lot of the time he was talking there. I don't know if you want to go back there, Steve, and have a look.
Get
See if
Peter
you
Hyatt
believe
on
him.
the case.
Exactly.
I'm surprised Ames didn't
And
let
Anthony
him.
Crawler.
Ames should have pulled him up in that bullshit, by the way. I'm going to speak to him about that.
Ames, by the way, shout out to Ames. I was up in Dublin on Wednesday and I was going to go meet him, but I had to bail. And I was like, I'll come back Thursday. I better not go to Dublin last Thursday. It's a good job. I'll see Ames at some stage. But thankfully, I wasn't up there.
Either that, or Ames is very, very smart. He threw it in there. He fed it in there to Eddie to then hang himself and say, "You're Billy the meat material this week, you kid."
Exactly. Yeah, I'm fucking clipping this for the boys in the Nutters group. Get a life, Ames.
Double-edged sword. Cheers, Ames.
I'm going to be the king.
Fucking hell, get a life, mate.
Oh dear. Alicia's not getting a life. I think Damo created this one. Alicia Baumgartner was talking to her friends and consulting with experts.
She better shut the fuck up, by the way. Listen, the biggest I'd put Baumgartner on the map, but I'm part of the reason. I'm fucking claiming fucking part of her success. I definitely spotted her when she was nobody and made her bigged her up to where she is now. And I'm a massive fan of her work, her boxing career, her Instagram. But this shit has to stop. Did you see what she did? This was Conor Benn levels of the Matchroom playbook on what to do when you get caught open. First of all, I love that she didn't go, I can't believe this shit is in my body, blah, blah, blah. She did the usual, I'm an innocent fighter and all. But then she just started parading around at every event, bringing her belts, brazenly and shamelessly fucking ignoring the fact that she'd been popped by a fucking sanctioning body for steroids. But no, not Baumgartner. She's going around on Insta every day. She made a clip a couple of weeks ago that said, and she did the voiceover for it. It's weird as shit. I don't know what the marketing strategy is here, but she's done this Instagram clip, a reel, if you like, and she's done a voiceover, and it's like just basically, it's lovely. Like, it's just her showing herself off or whatever. And then she's like, I know it's hard to believe that I'm the sexiest fighter of all time, but y'all haters.
Yeah, baby.
I was like, yeah, well, so what? Like, so what the fuck does that mean? Like, but anyway, then she had like a kind of Piers Morgan style, Oprah Winfrey style interview with some bird who was just her maid, I think, sitting out in the conservatory.
With a blow up swan in the background.
Yeah. And it was like, and your one was like, so Alicia, tell us why you were innocent. And she's just started stuttering. It was like, well, because everybody knows me, that I'm a clean fighter and, I would never. And I was like, well, that's not really fucking clearing much up. Like the fact that she fucking had staged an interview in her own conservatory, declaring her own innocence, and then she said it was going to be followed by big news. Well, the big news is she did her own drug test, and the people that she paid to do her own drug test said that she probably didn't do it. So just let her back in the ring, everybody. What's the fucking big deal? Fuck off, man, will you? Like, that's like a missus asking you to take a lie detector test and say, no, listen, I asked one of the boys to fucking, I told him to lie, and he said fucking that I didn't do it, so I didn't do it. Like, let's just shut the fuck up. You know that way?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of haters out there, like Ryan O'Hara, for example. He tweeted below Alicia's message, I wrote my mortgage company a letter today and said my balance is at zero. I consider this loan resolved.
He's been gone for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah. It was his article, though. It really kind of prompted a response, eh?
Yeah.
There we go.
I'll not read them, but I did put them up there. But anyway, she is innocent, Andy, and the campaign is continuing, including link in the bio to the Alicia Baumgartner now available Vindication collection.
Yeah.
She's created some Vindication t-shirts.
Got to get on the grift,
like, you can't, I'm sorry, like, you can't do this. Like, what the fuck? Alicia, baby, you're making it hard for me and you. Like, you have to fucking, I can't be well a liar. Like, what's going on here? Like, you can't fucking do this. Vindication. Vindicated for what? You got your own drug test? That's for shit. Ain't that like going on trial for murder though? Ain't it? Like fucking saying, listen, I know you have a jury, but I need my own jury because yous are all saying I'm guilty, but this jury over here that I paid said I'm innocent, so fucking I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Fuck's sake.
Well, anyway, enough of those cheats. Let's get on to the real clean fighters. Conor Benn has been in action this week. He said, all these welterweights are running scared from Jerron Ennis. Well, I'll run right to him. They are, Matty. Let's go, champ.
Fucking A, let's do it. That's all I have to say.
Caught out and watching, it says there.
Yeah. What's that? The
Fight Club says, take away Bud and Spence, and this is the biggest fight in the division for me. You're getting the popcorn out and watching. Fuck's sake, man.
Hey, whatever it takes, whatever they have to do to sell it to the public, for me to see Ennis in the ring with with Ben, yeah, go ahead and say it. I think it would be fucking hilarious. Go for
He's
it.
never fighting Boots Ennis. Never fighting Boots Ennis. No chance.
Well, I wouldn't mind seeing it myself, to be honest. But yes, I don't think it's going to happen. Moving on. Adi Oladipo said, boxing wish list for 2024. You can only pick 3 fights. I'll start. Bivol versus Beterbiev. Tank versus Shakura. AJ versus Wilder. Okay, fair enough. Adam Booth wasn't happy, though. Boxing Booth. He jumped in and said, DAZN or not DAZN? Out of respect, let's not jump the hypothetical gun here, especially when one of our leading fighters, Callum Smith, is involved. Fuck's sake, man.
The dream fight that everybody was fucking waiting for is actually happening January 13th, and we didn't know about it. Beterbiev Smith, there you go.
You're not allowed to project fights, Rob, okay? Have a bit of respect for Callum Smith in January, please.
Yeah, best of luck to him. We wish him well.
Yeah. He might get sparked out. What else have we got here? Prince Patel, time to go where no Indian before me has ever gone before. 1 in a billion. IBO World Bantamweight title. Bukom Boxing Arena, Accra, Ghana. Sponsorships available. Be a part of this historical and magical event that will go down in boxing and Indian history forever. 1 in a billion. They are, Matty. IBO Bantamweight Championship. Surely Liborio Solis is going to have enough left, isn't he?
I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure there has to have been an Indian who's gone to Ghana before, don't you think?
Not to win the IBO Bantamweight title, Matty.
Yeah, that might be a pretty narrow group of people right there. I mean, you talk about aiming high. That's like as high as the Himalayas. And I'm sure he'll just bring a lot of joy and pride to his people with this huge victory in Ghana.
See, he said sponsorships available. It looks like there's not that many on board based on the flyer. So not on his phone, hasn't he? Fucking sent it out.
So cynical. Misfits Boxing is continuing here, Rob. Football 365. Keane versus McAteer headlines fantasy boxing card. Has Wenger, Mourinho, Terry Bridge settled their beef?
Never happening. Roy Keane's not getting in any fucking boxing ring. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
No sense. No sense. Do me a favour. Come on.
That's not his job.
No, exactly. He's never boxed before. One person who has boxed before, Andy, but he's disappeared lately. He's on your thing. There he is. There's Tone. Getting ready there, and he's getting his. I don't know what he's.
Oh, mate, that's some
testicles, mate, isn't it? It's going to be the bull's testicles that he's eating there, mate. Why has he fucking gone to the jungle dressed as Chopper Reed, by the way?
Yeah, that's got the yours are huge type fucking tash he's got there, eh? But I think he's been around Dale Winton's house actually in the picture I've got in my profile there.
R.I.P. Dale.
Or Michael Barrymore's house, more like it.
Fuck's sake, he will be getting out alive.
He declared himself innocent as well. He's not a bomb guy, isn't he? All right, in the back.
Check the depths there, boys. Check the depth there.
Sink into new depths, I think, Andy.
Oh man, going to further, fucking. Oh, I'm going to say it.
Oh, we're going to hell.
They've got a song there, man. Yeah, fuck, man. We're just despicable human beings.
Oh dear. Yeah, Porky got nominated. Never mind going to Australia. He's having some geographical issues earlier, apparently. This was sent to me.
Kids talk about it, didn't you know that?
No, it's a real place. It's in northern Finland. You've got like Father Christmas Land there.
I watched a film with kids a month ago. Well, some at Madagascar or something. Is that a real place?
Yeah, Madagascar's a real island.
Is that a real place?
Shit, I missed that. Sorry.
Oh, it's just a bit of Porky action. I don't know what Porky's up to these days, actually. I haven't heard much from him lately. Hope he's well. Whatever he's doing. Wish him well. Right, what else we got here? I did get sent a video of the guard talking about foreign languages, but the sound's too quiet. And also, whoever sent me the Michelle Phelps clip, there's music in the background, and we'll get copyrighted for that.
That's going to be Dom, isn't it?
I can't remember who sent it to me, to be honest.
Definitely Dom, that one. I got that one as well. Look. She was saying that the best it's Belly of the Week worthy, in fairness. She said, hey, I'll listen, we recreate it, right? We don't need the music in the background. She said, hey, fight fans, y'all don't know that one of the best deodorants is a lemon. You just cut the lemon up and you put it on your underarms. That's what she says.
That was the one, yeah.
And it works for 2 days, she said. But listen,
The underarms, the fucking oaksters.
hands up if you use right guard. You know what I mean? That's fucking. I'm not fucking hanging around a lemon.
Right guard,
Life
I'm a
gives you
condom,
lemons.
by the way.
Life gives you lemons. Make deodorant and squeeze them under your arms. No thanks. Like fuck off her.
Try putting them in Fat Dan's fleece.
Basic
Got
white.
onions in them.
Basic white girl now in citrus.
White's kind of pushing it or stretching it a bit there, Matty. She's one like a wee bit kind of peak print these days.
Smelling like a can of lilt all day. What the fuck is what's going on in this house?
CANELO. Oh, that poverty stuff, man. Fucking Jesus. CANELO.
There's been movement anyway, boys, at IFL. Umar's disappeared off.
Oh,
and then someone sent me this. Coogan said at the end of last year, my aim of 2023 is to get rid of all dead wood that contributed to my below average 2022. Happy New Year.
Well, I'll just add to that. I would just expand on this one a wee bit. So I actually was looking at some of the IFL videos during the week. That Astrid Wet appeared.
Ooh.
And it was titled about something. I want to like F this person and all that type of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Sexual content, that type of stuff, and that. And then all of a sudden, this went to go and get out there, going to use a snapshot out to put it on the Belly of the Weeks, and they have changed the title.
Oh.
So Cougs. I thought it was at one point, the way it was titled, I thought it was going to open up OnlyFans. I couldn't help pay for that water bill at one point, man. I was really fucking, I was like, this is getting a bit fucking too much here, you know, but
Johnny Baseball-esque titles in the fucking in the descriptions. Like,
just need a 7-year anal now, that's all we need.
Oh, dear.
That's all we need.
Yeah, Rob, this isn't what we need. Roy Jones, very interested in potential exhibition clash with Tommy Fury.
Come on, man. Come on. You're the greatest fighter of all time. You're the best to ever do it. There's no fucking denying it. Nobody could have beat you 154-75. But do not end your life getting knocked out by Tommy Fury. Even, do you know what? I don't think you get knocked out by Tommy Fury. I think he probably finishes the fight. Tyson couldn't knock him out, could he? Like, fucking, no. I think he probably edged Tommy Fury in a fucking 6'4". Celebrity.
Oh, that's grim thought, man.
Imagine John Fury headbutting his fucking jaw against the perplex glass with Roy Jones standing on the other side. But this version of Roy Jones, like, it's not a fucking sight we want to see, is it? Like, let Roy, will you stop, man? Fucking somebody get Bryn Jonathan Butler on the phone to get him back out to Pensacola, see if we can talk this guy out of this. Like, fuck's sake.
Oh boy. Jamal
Still think he
Charlo
beats Tommy Fury though. No.
Well, let's hope so. Imagine if he didn't. Jamal Charlo reportedly weighed in even heavier, 166 pounds in his second attempt for his 163 pound catchweight fight versus Jose Benavidez. He was originally over, and he came in even more over. Not as bad as Owen O'Neill a few weeks ago, who came in 10 pounds. But Jamal doesn't give a shit, man. He does what he wants.
Jamal is like your missus when she's got a Slimmers World and she's fucking gone up the weight the second week. And she was flying it the first week. She's like, I think it's the fucking instructor. She has something in for me. Yeah. It's not the fucking croissants you're fucking eating in the fucking morning. Like, it's the trainer.
Maybe he's just big boned, Andy.
Aye, is that as well, mate? Maybe just need a big fucking shite in the morning to clear out a wee bit, you know.
I gotta be careful with the fucking Charlos, like, because the guy, honestly, like, he seems very, very fucking, like he said in the build up to all this fight that, like, he suffered some crazy thoughts, and he was given like insights into some crazy. So I don't want to fucking throw fellas on, because like if something fucking bad happens, then we're going to look like assholes, you know, that way. Like, so hopefully we wish him well. Hopefully he gets better. Like, but that's crazy, man. Imagine you get your second attempt and come in 3.5 pounds heavier. Oh, he was like, you know what? I'm going to drink this water when I get off the scales.
He's just
like, put that water down, you fucking idiot.
He's like, fuck this shit. I'll do what I want. Uncle Al will see me fine.
Oh, Uncle Al will look after him. Back to Slimming World for Jamal. Well,
another 100 grand for Benavidez as well. Probably like fucking happy days.
Yeah, he's happy enough. I think they're phoning it in, Matty, over at the PBC. They didn't even bother moving out the pen pics of the Charlo Canelo. Just stick them in with the new names. Why not, man? Everyone's going to close up.
They don't even know the difference between a Dominican and...
Charlo's look like Eric Lubin there, by the way.
They don't even have the ability to distinguish between a Dominican Garcia and a Mexican American Garcia. They're really struggling over here in mixing up the Hispanic peoples of the world.
Cuba's and you
Aye.
Uzbekistan, I take it.
All Uzbeks look the same.
when you're confusing David Benavides for a redhead, things are fucking getting bad. Like, I don't fucking, like, this fella's getting fired, and this guy's been smoking weed in the fucking break room. Well, I was supposed to do the graphics.
He doesn't give a shit anymore. They're all getting the sack, aren't they? So he's going out with a bang. Oh dear. What else have we got here? Yeah, this is a bad one, but we'll put it in anyway. Adam Abramovich was reacting to boxing scenes. Jake Donovan's article on Samuel Tia, 36-year-old, tragically shot and killed during Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Abramovich said, a very nice obit on Tia by Jake Donovan. Jake said, thanks, Adam. Really don't like writing these. The least I could do was honour his legacy. Rick Glazer jumped in. Jake, good work. You left out he was well known for poisoning himself way out of fights. R.I.P. Samuel Tia.
What a fucking prick. The guy dies by a brutal gunshot on fucking Thanksgiving, and Rick Glazer's like, well, he ducked out of a few fights. I don't see why the fucking everybody's queuing up to fucking pass their condolences onto this fella for Jesus Christ. Talk about not reading the fucking room. What a prick, man.
Yeah, if he fought one more
Fucking
time, he would have
dickhead.
been able to afford a bulletproof vest. Good call,
Rick's next
Jake in
tweet.
the box.
That's his next tweet. Fuck me, man. That's bad.
But people called him out on it. They were like, Rick, man, what the fuck are you saying that for? And he was like, hey, I'm just telling the truth. He's a fucking
Insensitive Rick. John Mulhall, this is more to our liking. €5.99 is thrown in. Maybe for Rick Glazer, who knows? Thank you very much, John, regular listener. Andy, you threw this final one into me. Going for a little snooze. After getting iced. This guy's unconscious at this point. I don't know how much we should be laughing at this.
So I forget the guy's name at this point, but anyway, he took a vicious left. He took a vicious left hook, and he has light suit immediately. But the main thing to note here is his ass or his hands did not touch the floor, so it shouldn't be stopped. It was a legal stoppage. It was too soon. He deserved. No, he didn't, mate. That is how he ended up after taking that left hook. He went to sleep instantly in that position, held up by the ropes. Fucking kid you not.
Is that Emil Tate doing a count off camera?
He looks like me trying to get the key in the door with a fucking taco in my hand after getting out with the lads from the Astro.
Shush in the mirror.
Or when my alarm goes off, a little one called me for the school run, the fucking 8 o'clock. Oh, Jesus Christ. Shit.
What's fucked up is somebody had to wake him up from that nap.
Oh my gosh.
What the fuck happened? I just got knocked out. Oh, fucking hell.
I saw a fighter, I don't know if it was a UFC, I saw a fighter going around on Instagram. I think it was a boxing match, and it might have been a UFC contest or whatever. And he got knocked through the ropes, right? And when he came to, he thought he was making his ring entrance.
Yes, and he starts giving it the big one. As if
He starts like fucking walking, he put his hands up and walking around the ring.
I can remember, I think it might have been a UFC fight actually. The guy got choked out, and then when the fight got stopped, he fucking kind of semi came to and he started choking out the referee, thinking he was still in the fight.
Yeah.
That's bad, isn't it, that, man?
I don't know. Thankfully, I've never been knocked out, but I've seen lads get knocked out, and it's fucking scary. Like, thank fuck I never got knocked out. But especially you see someone get knocked out in the ring. Sometimes it can be fucking like, you have your heart in your mouth and that you're wondering they're going to pull through. See someone get knocked out on Wexford Main Street and their head bounce off the cobbles is a fucking different one altogether. Oof.
It goes ding. That's like a 10-pence piece hitting the fucking dog. Boom.
Oh dear. Final one I have here is Eddie kicking off in the press conference. Actually, someone was asking him questions and Eddie wasn't quite happy with what was going on.
Eddie, I mean, there has been a lot of talk and criticism of your links with Conor McGregor.
No, you had to do it, didn't you? No. I have to tell you this. I'm so bored of talking about it. All you ever do is look for a negative, right? Conor McGregor is Conor McGregor. I don't represent him. I don't talk about his comments. He has a brand that has backed the sport of boxing, and it has nothing to do with Katie Taylor, the show, the company. His opinions are his opinions. Tonight, we celebrate one of your greatest ever athletes. No more questions about Conor McGregor.
Not being negative, but I have to ask the question.
But then you can ask me away from the press conference. No, but you can ask me after the press conference. I'll answer it. Not in front of Katie Taylor. This is her night, and congratulations to one of the greatest athletes I've ever had the pleasure of working with.
guys. Charlie. Thanks, Kelly.
Eddie going in.
No, but Eddie's want to get away, wank himself into an omelette. That's a fight, though. That's what he's want to do.
Do you know what?
Eddie's listening to this by he's Easter weekend. Andy's telling you Easter weekend. Can you imagine that? All the fucking factions will be out for that one, Eddie. Get that fucking fight made Easter weekend. Cameron against fucking Taylor. Croke Park. Let's fucking have it. We'll have the Ra in charge. We'll have a fucking 21 gun salute. We'll be fucking tremendous.
Jesus Christ. Fucking.
You know what?
That was
Passover massacre.
Yeah.
That was Kieran Cunningham that asked that question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was like a dog with a bone over the MTK thing, and maybe rightly so or whatever. But I think that was a bit of a
man. Fuck's sake.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of a reach. Like McGregor's had some controversial tweets in light of a very fucking difficult time for Ireland. Like. In the last few days, and basically, like, McGregor's a fucking hip. Nobody's taking McGregor seriously, man. Like, you know what I mean? He's fucking doing voice notes to the True Geordie, telling him he's an estrogen head and all. Like, he's out of his fucking mind. Nobody's taking his shit seriously. Like, but he's basically in his tweets been saying that if the government don't do something about immigration, that he's going to do something. This is Tony Bellew-esque. Like, nobody's really giving a fuck about what the fuck he's saying. But what Kieran Cunningham is trying to do is, because McGregor's Forged Out has sponsored Boxing Social and sponsored the event, that he's wanting to hold Eddie Hearn accountable for McGregor's tweets on the night that Katie Taylor, at 37 years of age, fucking regains her title at a high weight. Fuck out of here, man. Go away. Like, get your fucking self some airtime somewhere else. It's like that Joe Malloy shit with fucking Roy Jones and the chickens. I don't really give a shit about Conor McGregor's views. Go ask Conor McGregor about it. Like, why are you bringing it up when Katie Taylor's just had a win like that? So it's not often I defend Eddie, even in Ed, but I think he was in the right there. Like,
yeah, I agree with that. Oh, your man Cunningham's like, do you remember the old Pink Panther movies? Like when Kato used to jump out the wardrobe and all, and like, his fuck's sake, here's Cunningham again, man.
Here he comes again. And he even said it to me. You had to fucking do it, didn't you? You're fucking waiting on that one, you asshole. Like,
you just know, see, like, remember, like you, Steve, you came better than the rest of us, having worked in the industry and that, but there's no like a time back in the day when like certain promoters just hated the thought of certain journalists coming in because they can't, they were going to get asked the hard questions.
It just goes to show, you know, how
this is
how
exactly
ruthless,
one of these moments.
Yeah.
How ruthless journalists are, because I'm 99 now. Strike me down if I'm wrong, but I'm 99.9% sure that fucking in the run up to fucking the first Cameron fight, that Kieran Cunningham released a 3-part podcast on Katie Taylor's life, and he'd spent quite a lot of time with her. So you can see her thanking fucking Eddie Hearn for sticking up for her there, because I'm sure she can't believe that somebody that she's let get close to her, she's not really somebody who courts the media. He went out and stayed with her in America, and that he'd bring that up at a moment like that. Like, do you get me? So I think I'm fucking getting a bit serious here for Bellew of the Week, but fuck him. Like, Eddie was right to curse him out there. Like,
yeah, I think so. Right, let's. That's all the ones I've got then. Andy, any nominations from you, please?
No, I've already got mine in, mate.
Lovely jubbly. Matty, anything from you?
God, I don't even know if I want to mention it because you didn't. It just leans me to say it's one of those things we shouldn't, but fuck it. I think the whole beefy bed hopping with mafia women is a very interesting fucking story. So just gonna throw that out there. I know all the
what? I
details
didn't hear
are
nothing
many.
about this.
Shit,
Rob. Up so quickly. What the fuck is going on here?
Oh God, I like even hesitate to the details. So apparently,
beefy who? Liam Smith.
Yeah, so apparently he was banging some like some mob guy's girlfriend, and he got into some shit, and he had to run into the Kinahans for protection, and then he started banging some other mob guy's girlfriend, and I think like didn't like his house get attacked or some shit like that, Steve. It was like pretty fucking.
Listen, I'm gonna say nothing on that. We wish him well.
All I'll say is this, like my old grandfather used to say to me, by the way, son, it's a lure of the puss.
Anyway, back to Conor McGregor.
It gets many a man, doesn't matter how good, bad, or indifferent a man he is, it gets him in many a trouble. And if you're going to do that, mate, you're running into trouble.
To be honest, I saw the boys in the chat talking something about it, but I didn't look into it, so I have no idea.
There must be a reason they call him beefy. All these picks up on him.
Yeah. Well, it's out on Twitter anyway. So
I'll say is this, right? I'll just say this. There was a story. I'm not mentioning any names, but there was a story of a certain football player in Scotland having his end away with certain gangsters' misses or bits on the side, and he was warned, medals in the loch or your fucking career's over. He came out, he picked anyway. His medals were in the loch.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Don't fuck about.
Don't fuck about. Yep. Matty D didn't get himself.
Get that out, Matty, quickly. You're not depressed or anything like that, are you, Matty? You're not fucking harbouring any thoughts or anything like that.
You don't let me have any fun, Andy. Jesus Christ.
Right, Rob, any Belly of the Weeks from you, please?
No, man, I'm not going to nominate it. I'm not going to nominate that one. No, Kieran Cunningham could go fuck off for that comment. Like, that was get a life for yourself for that one, Kieran Cunningham.
Yeah, we're nominating him. Right, let's go through them there. So we had Kieran on the videos. What else did we have on videos? We had the guard as well. Like I said, I couldn't play that because it was too quiet. MJP with Lemons, Porky with his geography, Eddie slamming the reporter as well, and Eddie telling Porky's about Madison Square Garden. We had Alicia with Vindication, the Vindication t-shirt collection. We had these guys calling
No,
for...
fuck, she's getting it. Fuck that. It's Baumgartner. Fuck that, man.
Baumgartner. We had Adam Booth going in. We had Prince Patel. The football fight. We had Bellew in the jungle. He seems to be doing well. Coogan clearing out the dead wood. Roy Jones looking for a fight with Tommy Fury. Charlo coming in heavy. The graphics intern who's just given up the ghost completely over at the PBC.
What are they going to do? Fire me?
Exactly, yeah, fuck you. And your man getting iced on the road.
Honestly, Steve, you need to download that card, mate. Honestly, it's got 2 fantastic knockouts, 2 containers of KOs of the year. I'd asked you actually if he's watched it, but that one is epic, mate. And the heavyweight one as well. See when you see fighters running to the ring, I tend to think, I've got Enzo fucking David Hay vibes, thinking stuff. That's exactly what happened, mate. He got fucking.
I'm gonna have to download that, man. You've encouraged me. Right, okay. So who are you going for, Andy? It's a tough one, man. Alicia's good. Your man getting knocked out. It's good. But I'm going for Rick Glazer, I think.
I was going to go between Rick Glazer and IFL, mate, because I think I checked the comments on that video. This is how I know. I wish I took a fucking screenshot of it, right? But this is how I know that some of the comments on it were actually quite telling. That this place is went to the absolute dogs, because honestly, he's got like kind of all the swear words kind of titled out. It's just clickbait shit, and he's went back and changed it. But your man Glazer, man, talk about uncouth. Not a fuck given, eh? Just
whacker, man.
What a dick. He's got an important role in the sport, and it's telling the fucking truth. We finally found out what his deal is. Right? It's
I'll tell you what.
That Samuel Taylor fucking priced himself out of fights. What a bitch. On the day he got fucking killed.
Not the wisest thing to be passing fucking wisecracks about a fella who just got shot in Philly, by the way. I don't think it's fucking that could come back to haunt him.
Did Donovan respond to that comment?
I don't know, to be honest.
I need to go and check that, actually. Did he even? I'll see if he even deleted it, actually.
No. I'm going for Rick. Are you going for
Blast? Aye.
Rick as well?
Aye.
2 for Rick, Matty. What about you?
Beefy.
Oh.
Beefy.
Stop bringing that up, will you? Rob,
you can't mathematically win now, so fuck it.
Rob, who you going for?
Yeah, Alicia, baby, come on, come off it. You can't presume. You got to go through the process. Go provide the fucking hair follicle to the people that popped you. That's the fucking logical move there, isn't it, Dr. Nick? Dr. Hibbert. Unbelievable.
You are a man.
But it's okay, baby. We forgive you. I forgive you. Don't worry about it. You have a second chance. No, it's okay. Don't be too hard on yourself.
You blew your chance and you know it, but you're a man of great honor for taking your stand, Rob.
No, I believe in second chances. You know what I mean? We can all change, baby.
Yes. Baumgartner can come again. Jade can't. But Rick Glazer.
Well, not with Rob. He couldn't.
Yeah, she got to respond to
cares about her?
Twitter, by the way.
Glazer what, Andy?
I see Glazer responding to one of the Boxing Asylum tweets on Twitter. He says,
yeah.
I don't know who put it out, but he responded, no, I haven't. I've made fights that were fair to both competitors. So he's a promoter as well, plus a matchmaker.
Well, he's a matchmaker, promoter, biggest
truth
man
teller.
in boxing,
and a
Andy.
Snide bastard as well, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, keeping the sport going.
Bringing the bants. Yeah,
bringing the bants. Most importantly, he's Bellew the Week winner for $550. Congratulations, Rick Glazer. And that's all of them. We had a super chat, didn't we, Matty? John Mulhall €5.99. Shout out to John keeping the lights on. That's all.
Was that
from
the only
me.
one? Fuck
Yeah.
me. Fair play,
So,
John Mulhall.
yeah,
No, that
good lad, John.
tight bastards.
Yeah, they're a great bunch of lads, and the Patreon is growing all the time. I'd like to thank everybody in there. Got the Boxing Nutters Prediction League.
Someone send the
winding down.
Patreon link to fucking His Excellency. Will you send that on to him?
Get him in. He'd love the banter, wouldn't he?
Yes, he would.
Who wouldn't? Who the fuck is here now? Jesus.
Sliding in there.
Great timing, Donnie.
Right on time here, Donnie Baseball.
Donnie,
And he's
are
not
you
even.
there?
And the stupid cunt is still on mute as well. At fucking 10 to 11. Come on, Donnie.
Donnie.
Evening, Don.
Come on,
Yeah.
then go.
We can hear you. Why are you? What struck your fancy to come on back?
Oh, wait a bit.
Are you there?
Yeah, wait, what's up?
You're the one that came back on when I was getting ready to go to the ending credits.
Sorry for ringing you, Donnie.
Oh wait, well, no, I mean, if you're ready to play us out here, then I'll just leave.
Okay. No, hang out and talk to us for a couple afterwards. I'll close this out, but you can still talk to the group. For Steve, Andy, Rob, and Donnie, this has been Matt DiGianardo. We hope to see you back here next week for another episode of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse. Y'all have a great week. We'll see you next time.
We'll never forget.
I think that's good happening.
Go to Adam move!
We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking swank that can fight me.
I fell asleep. You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumple fucking Stiltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7-year ain't it? 7-year ain't it?
I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love Boxing Asylum. It's as simple as that.